All right, we are live. I just want to check if everyone can hear us first. Can everyone hear me? Let's see. Can everyone hear me? No, my throat's a bit acting up.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
Oh, okay. I gotta mute my screen. So I think we are. I think they can hear us.
Mine might not be muted, so let me
Okay.
mute. I will mute mine, and that should take care of that.
Okay, and then yeah. So Paul Lovelace says I can hear you, and you want to speak, Lori, and then.
Check. I'm here.
Can you guys hear Lori?
The bells are ringing and the birds sing because I'm here.
All right. Okay, someone says chat is delayed a bit. Okay, can y'all hear FractalWoman? Oh, guest has an echo. Okay, so guest has an echo. So I think it might be me. Well, I think I'm gonna have to put the headphones on every time something happens like this. All right. So yeah, technical difficulties. Guest has an echo. I'm gonna put this on. Yeah, I need to figure it out. I need to put headphones on, otherwise I get an echo. Okay, sound.
Okay. So now they said that I was echoing, so am I still echoing? Anyone out there?
Well, it's because it's I'm recording your voice, right?
Yeah,
So,
okay.
so it's probably me.
Okay.
Output device disable this one, and I'm gonna go audio output capture. Yeah, select PAL. Okay. Can you guys? Okay, is echo there? Okay. Tobias says yes, loud and clear. Lady is not as loud as you, MES. Okay. How can you speak now?
Yep. So here I am. I'm close to my microphone. Does that sound better, or?
Can you guys hear? How is she now?
Hello?
Okay, guess is okay now. All audio seems okay. Yeah, so it had to go
Okay.
through the headphones.
Okay,
Be better.
I think we're good.
Okay, both perfectly audible now. All right, we are good.
Yay!
All right, guys. Yeah, so thanks for joining. We have I think 8 people on right now. Okay, trying to break a record of I think 53 one time.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Matt G says hello, beautiful people. All right, anyways, let's go to our guest. So my special guest is Lori, aka FractalWoman, and yeah, so she's uncovered, in my opinion, a lot of groundbreaking stuff involving quantum mechanics and the nature of light and so on, and black holes and magnets. Which I'm just surprised nobody else is like like you're not in front page news everywhere.
Well, thank you.
Well, yeah. So anyways, if you want to introduce yourself, and yeah, this is Lori, FractalWoman, and
Okay, yeah, I am Lori, aka FractalWoman, and I am a computer scientist. I have a degree in computer science, and I work in the field of medical imaging. So, computer graphics and imaging, that's kind of my thing. And so, I do spend a lot of time studying fractals and fractal geometry and generating fractals. And I also spend a lot of time studying physics because I think that fractals and that there could be a good fit for understanding the universe in terms of the fractal paradigm. And I don't think that's being considered by the mainstream, people. And so I really think that we live in a fractal universe, or at least that fractals play a role in why our universe looks the way it does. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Of course, I don't have it all figured out yet, but I'm working on it, and I'm doing little bits and pieces, and I'm studying as many people as I can. And so I think it's really important to stand on the shoulders of greats, and some of the greats are not the mainstream greats. Some of the greats are like, I studied Ken Wheeler and I got a lot from him, and I studied Robert DeStinti and I got a lot from him, and a lot of other independent researchers where I found little bits and pieces of the puzzle, and now I'm trying to put the puzzle together. So I'm not going to claim that I know everything.
Sorry, Lori, one second. People are saying the echo's back.
Oh.
And your voice is fractaling.
Oh, my voice is fractaling now.
Well, okay, so I think it might be my input audio. Yeah, this always happens. Just trying to figure this out. So output audio. So it's like, for example, when you're speaking, for somehow it's capturing it on my microphone. Okay. Output audio. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay. Output POW. That should be it, and then input. Yeah, I don't know. Guys, is the echo still going? Okay, your voice is fractal, bit of a reverb. That's what they're saying. I don't know what could be the issue. Okay, just tap this one, audio input, output, desktop. audio. I'm gonna try one more thing.
Okay.
Okay, try speaking now. Can you hear her?
Okay. Check. Here I am. Can you hear me? Is there an echo? Echo.
Can you guys hear
Hello?
her?
Still an echo?
Okay, what I'll do is I'll play my thing here. Saying just speak now, and I'll have you on. Issue. Okay.
Okay.
Tap this
Hello, I'm FractalWoman. Check. Check.
Desktop.
Any luck?
Audio. Okay. I'm gonna try one more thing. Oh,
Yep.
audio is good now. Okay, audio is perfect.
Okay.
Speaking now. Can you hear her?
That's what they said last time.
Oh yeah. So okay. Well, the last time it said it was okay. Now it says perfect. All right. So Maggie says, all right.
Okay.
I
So
guess we have 11 people now. Okay. All right. So we have 11 people. Don't change anything yet. So I think I figured it out. For some reason, OBS was recording desktop audio and then the second audio capture for some reason. So
Okay.
I'll just remove this. We'll just leave it like that. Okay. Yeah. So everything's good, guys. Okay. It's good.
Okay.
We are back. All right. So I don't know how far you want to go back on your introduction, but.
Oh no, I mean, most people know who I am, and if not, then it's fine. I think I said enough. But before I continue, I just want to do a call out to my grandchildren that I know are listening online, KK and Kip. Those are their nicknames. Those aren't their real names, but they know who I'm talking about. And Dana, of course, is there too. So nice that you guys came. Thanks. That's who I was visiting when I went out.
Oh yeah, for sure. So KK and Kip. It also sounds like a fractal as well.
I know.
All right, so that's some good stuff. Yeah, so a lot of my audience, I've shared some of your stuff on my videos and just articles I've written, and now this brings me to, well, let's go to that links setup I had just so we can keep on track.
Yeah.
So what I'll do now is first I'll share my screen and then see what I have, and I'm gonna share the screen. Okay, you are presenting screen. All right. And I have the people in the live stream. I have the chat there. Should I hide the chat or just keep it there? So you can see it. I'll just keep it there. Move it to the right.
That's fine.
Look, it's covering a bit of my face, but it's all good. Well, yeah. So here is the stream link and notes. And what I'll do is I'll actually add this. I'll add this to the chat, so if you guys can follow along or add other links, I'm just gonna follow the link to it. All right. So all the notes and links and so on will be in this, and I'll post this in there. Okay, so Matt G says she's Canadian, a boot. Okay, so all right.
It's a boot time.
All right, so we have this, and we're gonna go here now. Let's go to the first thing I wanted to go. Okay, so the first thing I want to cover actually is, so today's 11/11. So and interestingly, that's actually the real 9/11. So I do a lot of 9/11 stuff. Just someone commented here, and I'll share this. I'll share this screen right here. I'll click this. Okay, open this link. Someone commented on my video. Guys, so that's gone. All right, let's go back here. I'm going to share this tab. Share this tab. And so now we're in a conundrum. Why doesn't it just open up the link? Copy link so we can see this. And I'm just going to delete this. All right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Anyways, so I can't even open it. Sorry about this technical difficulties. Once I just sort this out, and we'll be good to go. Actually, I'll go here. 11/11. All right. Sorry about this. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Just 1 second again. Yeah, sorry about this technical difficulties. I'm just trying to once I get in the groove, then I'll be all good. All right. Over 3. Okay, so we are good. I'm going to share this one right here. So share this tab. All right, so we are back. You can see this window here. I'm going to scroll down. So someone said, so it thinks it might start on November 11 because November used to be 9 on the month. So the original, I think the Roman calendar, so September was 7th month. And then October is 8th, and then November is 9th. So 9/11 is actually 11/11. So we are right on.
We are.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm big on numerology and stuff. So we are.
Yes, I know.
Right as I said that, it's almost 1/11. Okay. So sorry about that sidetrack. That's just how my brain works. And now we are back to, so the next.
My daughter would appreciate that because we're really into symbolism and numerology and numbers and that sort of thing. So it's very cool to hear that other people are like us.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Okay, so now I should see on this one, view tab. I should be sharing this one. Okay, yeah, so now we're back on this one. I'm just looking at the live stream, it's a bit delayed. So the next thing I want to show up is the, so here's the links to all the articles on the Hive blockchain. I usually write articles there, and so if you can type here FractalWoman, you see all the articles I've written about your work actually. So just to keep
You've written articles about my work?
Yes, I've shared a lot of your articles in here. So yeah, so
Okay, I think I've seen that before.
I've shared your videos, just fractal self-similarity of magnets, and then these are great illustrations by FractalWoman on the just a whole bunch of the magnet stuff, and and also the quantization. It's the quantization one over here. So let's see what the screen looks. Oh, so it didn't open. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't open the thingy up. Yeah, so the thing with Google, every time I have to click share tab, otherwise the audio wouldn't work when I play video. So we are here. So here's the, I'm sharing this one right here. I just wanted to put in here, and then you could put this in a link as well. All right. We'll just forget that we just honored a Nazi in Parliament. Okay, so Matt G says we'll all just forget. Yeah, yeah. So just everyone forget about that. All right, so we are back to here. So FractalWoman, can you see this? Yeah, so this is all the all the articles I've written. You can search them all up and so on. And I did the complex numbers of rotation matrices. That was quite an interesting one I did based on your work on just realizing that complex numbers are just rotation matrices, which kind of changes the game, especially the Euler's identity, which it seems all complex, like this, for example, e to the ix equals cos x plus I sine. You can convert that over to simple rotation. So all it means
and that is just a rotation matrix that you can use in computer graphics when you want to rotate an object. I implement it that way all the time. It's super simple.
Yeah, it's great. And then even the Euler's identity, the one where the pi is, I think theta is equal to pi or 180 degrees. All it is rotating a vector by 180. And that's the same thing as writing this vector times it by e to the I pi.
I know. So it really simplifies it in, like, I don't know why they don't teach it like that. They teach it in a weird way to make you confused. And so I was confused about complex numbers. Even after I had implemented the Mandelbrot set for years and years, I still couldn't understand complex numbers. And then actually it was, I don't know if you're familiar with Robert Distinti.
Yes. From your videos, I went and saw some of this.
He was the one that got me thinking about the imaginary numbers as two-dimensional numbers, and I just pushed it a little bit further to show that complex numbers are two-dimensional numbers, where the imaginary number is the backward diagonal and the real number is the forward diagonal, and that's it. It's just a transformation matrix.
Yeah, and then that kind of changes everything. And I even wrote in this article / video I made. So I wrote that note that Lori states that she got this idea from Robert Distinti.
Oh, good.
Well,
I like to give credit where credit's due, because I don't think I have, like, all my ideas came from somewhere else. They didn't just come from the ether.
Well, technically they did.
Maybe they did. I don't know, but
Okay. Yeah, the ether was the big one. Okay. So now, that was that stuff there, and I put it in the chat box. So now the next one, I'm gonna go and share this tab, and let's see what the next thing I had. So MES on rotation matrices, and then another thing was AI upscaling. What I actually did was, if I go here, so this one. So have you ever heard of AI upscaling, where you can use AI to make the image bigger resolution without losing the quality?
Right.
So what I did was, so I got your FractalWoman, the profile photo, this one right here. So here's the link to it. And so I got this here, but then when I put it in my Photoshop, so it was a bit smaller. So what I did was I actually used this AI upscaling tool to make it double the size.
That's great. Can you send me a link to that?
Well, yeah, it's all on the thingy right here, so you can see the number 4. You can see everything is there in the links there. Yeah, so I use that to upscale it. Like some of the stuff is details going to be slightly off depending on the type of stuff, but usually with artwork or text, they become really HD. Yeah, so I use that for this image right here. But your Buddha one is actually a giant already. All right,
it's a giant already. That was. 5,000 by 5,000, I think.
Yeah, so that was pretty big. And then all right, so the next thing is background. So next thing I want to talk about is your background in medical ultrasound imaging. I think you spoke about it a bit. Did you
Kind
have-
of briefly mentioned it, but basically, what my area of expertise is three-dimensional ultrasound. And so, what we do is we develop medical devices where you take a normal two-dimensional ultrasound and you scan it through a region of the body. So, let's say you're scanning my shoulder. So you scan the ultrasound over a region of the body, and you capture a sequence of images, and that goes into a 3D cube. Okay, and then you can visualize the internal. So this is not just a surface that you're looking at 3D, but it is you can look inside. So you can slice inside. So it's not just like the surface rendering like you're showing, say, in some of these images, like the orange one, where, we were actually one of the first ones to do 3D ultrasound of scan of a baby.
Oh wow.
Right, we used to do babies. There was a company called Life Imaging Systems, and what we did was we commercialized some of our devices. But so now what we're doing is we're combining mechatronic devices, like mechanical devices, robotic devices, if you may, with the 3D ultrasound, so we can do guided surgeries. So we do 3D ultrasound guided surgeries of liver cancer, like to treat liver cancer, and to do prostate biopsies and all kinds of things. Oh, there's a
Yeah.
if you type in Artemis, if you type in Eigen,
Oh,
EIGEN, or Artemis.
Artemis. It sounds like that
Yeah.
moon mission stuff.
There we go. See the device on the left there?
Okay.
I wrote all the software for that.
Oh wow. Okay, that's pretty epic stuff.
And our team developed the device, and then we licensed it to the company called Eigen.
Wow,
That was commercial. That was a commercial product for doing prostate biopsy. So I wrote all the software for that, and then gave it to them, and then they commercialized it. So that was quite a complicated device because it contained a mechanical arm, and it was my first time at programming such a complex device. So it was very challenging. But I'm going to tell you that to do the kinematics for these mechanical devices, I use that 2x2 matrix, Euler's formula 2x2 matrix, to do the rotation. So to rotate the joints, to do the kinematics, you've got like pitch, yaw, roll, right?
Yeah.
So basically we use, one of those 2x2 matrix for pitch, one of those 2x2 matrix for yaw, and one of those 2x2 matrices for roll. And then you just link up the kinematics in a certain order, and then you get the results. It's a very powerful tool, easy to implement on a computer. It's really just a transformation matrix.
Yeah, that's epic stuff. I'm gonna see if I play this video, see if this works. Can you guys hear the audio on this?
I think so.
Only of ultrasound. To fill this gap, at UCLA, we've instituted an MR.
I'll make this bigger. I just want to see if the arm moving.
Okay.
That's pretty epic stuff. Yeah, I didn't know about that. All right, and can you guys hear the audio? And actually, yeah, someone says Ken Wheeler. I would have not dared to ask, but somehow relevant. Yes, Ken Wheeler. Yeah, he'll be.
We'll talk about Ken.
Yeah,
we'll talk about Ken.
Ken's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
He has like 5,000 videos.
I'll try to say the nice things and not the other things.
well, yeah, but I've learned a lot of philosophically and even Magnuson.
Yeah, for sure.
I got onto your work from his because it was pretty mind-boggling.
Okay.
And to see some of this.
We'll now assign a level of suspicion to each.
Can you guys hear the audio on the?
I don't hear anything playing
Well, I have
right
it
now.
here.
of the targets based on quantitative and semi-quantitative analysis
I think we were
of
hearing
the
it.
diffuse.
at
It
one
is then
point.
performed by rotating the probe manually
Oh, I have to share this tab. Okay, share this tab.
across
Sorry, now you can
approximately
hear it.
200
Oh, there it
degrees
is. There's our
posterior
device.
surface
Yep.
of the prostate. The ultrasound position to bring the ultrasound probe into the cradle. We try to keep it as horizontal as possible. And a scan of the prostate is then performed by rotating the probe manually across approximately 200 degrees posterior surface.
All right, epic stuff. And that Artemis, what I'm gonna do is to share this. I'm gonna copy the Artemis link and put that inside the notes.
Cool.
So the next one was background imaging number 5. Background imaging Where's the background image? Oh, there it is. The numbers on the left are messed up. And I'll save it. Yeah. So when I publish it, we'll have the latest ones once we're done the video.
Okay.
So yeah. So that is that one. And then another thing I want to say. Yeah. So Artemis is an interesting title for that.
Yeah.
Because you've heard about the new alleged the new moon landing is supposed to be on. I'm gonna share this tab. Let's see, Artemis. It's called Artemis missions.
Yeah, I know. That's weird.
So it's weird,
Yeah.
and it's 2025.
Oh, you want to hear an even funnier story?
Go
So
on.
before, when I developed the software in-house in our lab, I called it Bing for biopsy imaging and needle guidance. So internally we called it Bing. And then that was before Microsoft came up with their Bing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Before they had Bing as their, search engine. So when we handed it over to Eigen, they changed the name to Artemis, but I bet they're kicking themselves that they didn't call it Bing.
Wow.
Because then they probably would have bought Bing.com, and then Microsoft would have had to buy Bing.com off of them.
Yeah.
Now, I kick myself for not buying Bing.com.
Yes.
Or even Bing.ca. Even Bing.ca, they would have paid me for that probably.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. In retrospect, yeah. But possibly they would have bought Zing.com or something.
Or something. They would have called it something else.
Yeah. But still, Bing is a pretty good name. If you could have bought Bing.com, because usually the smaller letters are much more expensive.
Taken already. No, well, the .cas weren't. I probably could have gotten because I actually was able to get butterflyeffect.ca.
Oh, that's epic. Yeah.
And I still have that one.
Yeah, because usually the .coms are so there's the thing that the way it works. .com is searchable like worldwide. Versus .ca, that it's like focused on a specific country.
Sure.
Unless you state it, but it's also more common. So like my website, I had to use MES.fm because I'll share this tab. The .com's taken, everything's taken. MES.fm is a Federation of Micronesia. Because I wanted a short one and use that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we have there. So now let's go to the next setup here. Well, I just want to check the live stream stats to see how everyone is doing. And I'm going to share this tab. Oh, we're not sharing its screen right now. Oh, I closed it. I'm going to share this, and we'll see. And then we'll try to stream through it depending on how much time we have. All right, so we have 14 people on. You can see the chat right here. I'm going to move this across my face. All right, and we have, and then someone says, Gabriel says, just FYI, ultrasounds have never been proven to be safe for babies. All right. So
well, okay, I've been working with ultrasound technology since 1993, and I'm fine.
All right.
I'm fine. I work with ultrasound machines like every day, and I'm fine. So I think I'm fine. Anyways, maybe I'm not, but I don't know. I don't know. There are I can think of some issues like cavitation.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you know about cavitation, but there is potential for cavitation with ultrasound in fluids. So I'm not going to say 100% for sure it's 100% safe. Yeah. And maybe we'll find out in the future that it wasn't safe, and that would really suck. But because that would mean we'd harmed a lot of people.
Yeah, possibly. Well, yeah, that's
so. But that humans are kind of dumb that way. They don't seem to care.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I don't have. I haven't looked at the health effects of that, so I don't have an opinion on that.
I mean, they do scan pregnant women routinely, right? And it's for a very short period of time, but that doesn't mean anything. Like it could. I don't know.
Yeah, but even then, my one take is I've learned a lot of about German new medicine. Like when they do like scanning for tumors or whatnot. It's the diagnosis I think is the most deadly when you tell someone you have 5 years to live.
Yeah, no, I know when they say those words, then it's like the inverse placebo effect.
Yeah.
You're gonna die. Okay, I guess I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
that's not good. I don't think they should ever say that.
Yeah, and it's also my view on cancer is also way off from the mainstream. I think it's just a regular biological function, like an emergency function. But we can speak about that in later. That's German new medicine. So yeah, we have 11 users right now, and other people talking about time travel, and Matt G regrets not buying Bitcoin when it first came out. Hindsight. Right, he would have been a zillionaire. What's interesting, Alex Jones actually, he says that he had for how many Bitcoins, but then he lost it in a boating incident or something, or in his laptop he lost it somewhere. But it was the equivalent of it. The equivalent is like over $1 billion. So I think he's making stuff up. Oh my God.
Yeah. That sucks. Yeah. That would suck. It's like that episode of The Big Bang Theory. I don't know if you watched that.
I watched a few episodes back in the day.
where they lost their Bitcoin. They couldn't. They were trying to find their Bitcoin thumb drive.
Oh no, I haven't seen that, but
it's-
I will look for the Alex Jones clip later for a future live stream.
Okay.
All right, so the next setup, let's just continue further because we have a whole bunch of stuff here,
Okay.
and a lot
Yeah,
of this
yeah.
is just my notes from watching your more recent videos on the John Mackin model, and which I think you guys are on the right track, or pretty much.
I think so too. Yeah,
think you're
but so the next thing on your list looks like it's NFTs.
Oh yeah, fractals,
Can I
NFTs.
share?
Yeah.
Can I share my screen for that discussion?
Yeah, go ahead. So we have
Okay,
fractals,
so
NFTs,
I wanted
Glitterbot.
to- I just want to make sure I'm a little lost. Oh, okay, there's my meeting, so I should be able to now share my screen. I want to do that, and I want to pick that. Okay, so now you're going to see me probably, but I'm going to switch to my, okay. All right, so there you can see my Buddha here now.
Yep.
Okay, so regarding the NFTs, so about a year and a bit ago, my cousin gave me a call. We'd been sort of in discussions about doing a project together for a few years, and he actually was a Bitcoin miner. He mined a bunch of Bitcoin, and he's also got involved with the NFTs. And then when he saw like the NFTs taking off, he called me up and said, let's make some NFTs. And so I had to think of something. And so I came up with this idea for the what I'm calling the ohm particles. Now these ohm particles are, here are a few from my collection, are really, they're just sort of pieces of this Buddha. Okay, so the Buddha is made up, this Buddha is made up of like, I generated like 5,555 ohm particles. Okay, and then when you put all these ohm particles together, when you add them together, like literally add them together, then you get the picture of the Buddha. And so then I took a subset of the ohm particles from my collection and colorized them, made them look pretty, and that's what we made our NFTs out of them. But the thing that I found fascinating with these objects, with these mathematical objects, is how much they looked like cosmological objects. So here's a bunch of planetary nebula, and here's what my own particles look like. So I thought there was a lot of similarity in terms of the fractal paradigm in my fractal theory of the universe. I really felt like this meant something. Like I felt like it was really important. And so I even wrote my paper. Let's see if I can find it here. The Mandelbrot set as a quasi-black hole, where I show these similarities between the cosmological objects up here, and these are what I'm calling the ohm particles. So I show these in my paper. And so also there's a lot of similarities between what, say, a galaxy looks like and just a small region of the Mandelbrot set. And so this all led to sort of my cosmology, and my cosmology led to me creating this, the ohm particle genesis collection for NFTs. And so these are out there, they're out there. And so I also, we're going to talk about the ferrocell probably eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I also, if you go to OpenSea and you look up ferrobright, so ferrobright is sort of a play on the light bright. I don't know if you ever played with light bright when you were a kid. Right, it was a toy.
Yeah, it's very familiar.
Right, a toy where you plug in these little beads into a grid and you make these pictures, and the pictures are made of light. You know, this is essentially what this is doing, only, you know, way more complicated, right? But you know, this is basically a light bright kind of a thing, where the light is reflecting off the nanoparticles in the ferrocell, and it creates these beautiful images when you place a magnet in the field of view. Okay, and then there's this one here, which I just love, that I created using the 2x2 matrix, Euler's formula, sine, cosine on the forward diagonal, sine on the backward diagonal, opposite sense. I use that to create this complicated shape here. And I don't know if you follow the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project.
Oh yeah, I've seen on some of his videos. Yeah.
They are trying to, you know, figure out cold fusion, basically.
Yeah.
desktop fusion
Yeah, it's
using
Bob Greener, yeah.
plasma technology, and they're experimenting with fractal coils. So I got this idea from him. So this picture here is 3 iterations. So the middle here is the first iteration, then this is the second iteration, and this is the third iteration. And so basically the coil then gets wrapped around the coil, which gets wrapped around the coil. So it's a coil of a coil of a coil of a coil, and that makes it a fractal coil. And they think that these fractal coils will have special properties, may be able to extract energy from the ether, or maybe be used in these plasma experiments. And I think they've actually even found plasmoids that look like this in their experiments.
I think I've seen
right?
something like that, yeah.
So anyway, so there's a lot going on here, even though it looks really simple. And actually it was very simple to implement using my 2x2 matrix Euler's formula, because really it's just that formula. So this looks very complicated, but it's just I use it, and then I turn it 90 degrees, and then I use it again, then I turn it 90 degrees, and I use it again. So it's circles on circles on circles on circles.
Yeah, epic stuff.
Kind of cool.
And what are people offering for it right now?
They're just, these ones are just up for grabs. These ones have already been sold. The own particles, the ones that are up on OpenSea were part of our collection, and they were already sold. And so you could go and look at them and see what they were sold for, and you could probably make an offer for them.
Epic stuff, epic.
Yeah. So I will. Let me see. I'll stop sharing for now, and then we can go on to the next subject.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll share this screen now. Okay, now how do I make this? Okay, so now how do I make it not giant phase? All right, so now your screen's still visible. What I'll do is I'll stop sharing screen, and I'll share it again. Yeah, so that was epic stuff there. Yeah, so the own particle, I'm gonna add that links to that.
Okay.
Okay, so sharing it. Okay, so now we're back into our setup here. So the next one is fractals, NFTs, and I had to brush up on my fractals as well. I watched some tutorials on fractals. It's been a while.
Yeah.
How they work exactly. So the next one I want to show is the own particle. I'm gonna actually OpenSea. I'll just add it to the link OpenSea. Share this tab. The own particle genesis, and I'll put this in the chat.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, and someone says, T. Lee says, I suggest the Creator movie. I'm referring to a new movie in theaters. All right, interesting. And someone says, what about for healing, breaking up calcium deposits? Yes, I think it's talking about ultrasound for healing, for breaking calcium deposits. That's an interesting subject.
They do that. Yeah, they do that.
That's cool. I never heard about that. All right, so we have, put that there, and, okay, fractals. Put this in here. Share this tab. And now the next one is the Buddhabrot, so the Buddhabrot set was actually named after you. So that is...
I coined the term.
You coined the term. I call it...
I coined the term. I luckily coined the term. So what happened there was back in the day, they didn't really have like the internet. They had something called news groups, right? They had news groups. And so I was on a news group called Fractals. And so there was Green. So just what you had right there a second ago. She named it Ganesh, but then because it looked like the very first one that I saw that I got from so Melinda Green, I'm just going to take a few steps back. Melinda Green, when I met her, was Daniel Green. Okay, so he was Daniel Green. And then one day I got an email so it was Daniel Green that I met. So I was talking to Daniel Green and said, what's with this, deity in the Mandelbrot set is what the subject line was. And so Daniel sent me the image, and I just about fell out of my chair because it looked like a seated Buddha. And I'd always had this feeling when I look at the Mandelbrot set, especially in the upright orientation, they always showed on the side for some reason, it looks like a bug. When you see it upright, it looked to me like the halo of a Buddha. So the Mandelbrot set itself, I always felt like Buddha was in there somewhere. And so when Daniel sent me this image, I just about, so yeah, if you click on the Usenet there, that's going to send you to the article that I saw, the article that I saw.
Using it, it's just a Wikipedia thingy.
Oh, yeah, from Wikipedia, just in the what you were
one?
just showing a second ago.
The deity, Daniel Green. This is by Daniel Green. This one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll open this, and we are here. Oh, what am I share this tab? What am I opening?
Yeah,
Okay,
there we go. This is the message that I got from Dan, who is now Melinda.
Okay, yeah. So that was the they transformed.
Yeah, they yeah. And so that was really interesting to me because a few years after I met Daniel, I got an email saying, "Oh, I'm now going by Melinda Green," and I'm like, took me a while to figure it out, and then I'm thinking, why didn't you just call yourself Danielle? That would have been easier for me. Now I had to remember a whole new name, but I ended up, she lives in San Francisco, and I ended up going to San Francisco on a work trip. And I emailed her and said, I'm going to be in San Francisco. And she's like, hey, you want to come hang out with me and my transvestite friends? And I was like, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I went and I met her and I met all her friends, and we went out for sushi and we went out for martinis and just had a great old time. They were the nicest people you could imagine. And they accepted me, into their little world. They have their, they kind of hang out, they stick up for each other and they hang out together. And, I stayed at Melinda's house for one night so we could have lots of time to talk. And boy, did we talk. We had lots to talk about. So I don't think we stopped talking. And then we got up the next morning and we had lunch together and we had a really good time. So I really got to know her very well in that visit.
And yeah, so we're back on the Wikipedia one. This was your one, right? This left one.
It is. No, I don't think any of of mine are actually on that page.
Okay.
I do. My rendering is just a little bit different than Melinda. She does sort of a coloring scheme where she kind of does what they do in cosmology to colorize. It's false coloring. And the images are a little bit fuzzier, and I do more of a discrete Mandelbrot, kind of like the one on the left there.
Yeah, so that's what it looked like, this one.
And and it's very difficult the zoom in to a Buddhabrot is very difficult. What they're showing you there takes a lot of math. There's a lot of math to zoom in. You can zoom in on Mandelbrot, no problem, but zooming in on a Buddhabrot, because you have to iterate the pixels like 100,000 to 1,000,000 times to resolve the pixels. So I actually met the person, I think, that did those animations, or that figured out the math to do those animations. And it's
so it's all just pixels. Yeah, it's all just
pixels.
Yeah, so it's loading up still. All right, so in the chat, Timothy Sullivan says I'm always late, so he's in. And then 9/11 Revisited is back. All right, so he's in. He was a 9/11 researcher that was on the chat. I mean, on the live stream a few live streams ago. All right, so my computer's like blowing up from that Buddhabrot.
Okay, just don't worry about it. We can go back.
We'll get to it. Well, because I think I have like 1,000 things open at the same time.
Right.
But we should be able to get. Okay, there it is.
Oh, geez, that is incredible. That is so detailed.
All right, so we have it.
Yep. That is a ton of detail in there.
Yeah, so we have black holes, galaxies. So
so you can see all the Ohm particles in there.
Yeah, that's epic.
See how the Buddhabrot's made up of all these Ohm particles.
All right,
and I call them Ohm particles, obviously, because it generates the image of a Buddha.
Yeah.
So it seemed like a natural, and they do look like, so they're particle-like because they kind of have a nucleus. A lot of them have a center, and they're very particle-like.
Actually, I haven't seen this before, so I was wondering how.
I didn't know that you could zoom in on this one to that great detail.
This is like looking at the galaxy. Yeah, I know.
It is amazing.
Because when you were saying, because when you're showing the Ohm particles and saying this is made up of it, I was trying to think about what do you mean, like where exactly? Because the Buddha project, you're just looking at it from like big scale. So I'm like, but now if you zoom in, you're literally looking at a galaxy.
Yeah, it does. It's very cosmological looking, right?
Yeah, and what's crazy is so it ties in with the ferrocell, and then the ferrocell, like as you showed in your earlier video,
Yeah.
and Ken Wheeler, it's literally a black hole.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
And I act, I'm so glad that I ran into Ken's channel, because I don't think I would know about the ferrocell if I wasn't watching Ken's channel. And
Yeah.
I really, really, really wanted to understand how it worked. Now, how it works is much simpler than what everyone is saying,
Yeah, and that's where
right?
I was just shocked
So I
about.
don't know if you want to segue into the ferrocell yet,
Yeah,
or
we'll segue right now actually. So let's
okay,
go back to our thing. So the next one was Faraday disk, isopotentials. We could skip
okay,
that for now. Then
okay,
after that is Ken Wheeler and the ferrocell.
okay.
Yeah, so if you can.
So
So,
maybe I can share my
yeah,
screen,
you can share your screen. Yeah,
talk about this
yeah,
ferrocell.
and then also
Share
Ken
screen.
Wheeler's hidden secrets of magnetism.
Yeah. So, okay, so let me try and get to here. So let's go to the ferrocell. Oh yeah, I'm just going to quickly go over my slides about demystifying complex numbers. This is what a complex number really looks like. Complex numbers are two-dimensional numbers, not one-dimensional numbers, and that's why you need a 2x2 matrix for complex numbers. And so the forward diagonals, the real numbers, the back, and has the same sense. Okay. And the backward diagonal has different opposite sense. And so that's A equals BI. This is what it looks like in the 2x2 matrix form. And then Euler's formula is just you put the cos and the sine in. So A is cos of theta and B is sine of theta, and theta is some angle. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. And so, and you can do a similar thing with quaternions, but I won't do that right now.
Yeah, I haven't.
And I do have some slides on the Faraday paradox if you want, but I think we want to talk about the ferrocell.
Yeah. So the Faraday, the Faraday paradox one. Well, it ties in with Bruce De Palma. I'm not sure if you've heard about him.
I've heard about
Yeah,
him.
Bruce De Palma. Yeah, so he was the one who he claims to have done a homopolar generator that generates, I think, like 5x energy output versus the input. Yeah, so that's one I'm actually going to be doing a video on, just because I want to eventually try to replicate it, or at least write down all the technical details of how to replicate it. That's the first thing I'll look at when I do. But yeah, let's continue on.
Yeah.
And
okay, so some people that are studying the ferrocell are saying kind of weird things about it. Here's this one person who is working on his PhD, and he wrote a paper called "The Quantum Field of a Magnetic Shown by Nanomagnetic Ferrolens." Okay, so this is not the picture of a quantum field. Okay, I'm telling you right now, this is not the picture of a quantum field, but they are trying to turn it into something that it's making it sound more sexy, more interesting, turning the ferrocell into something like that it isn't. And so this guy actually got his PhD on this. So I don't feel too bad now that I never got a graduate degree, because it really doesn't mean anything. But
oh, really? Okay. I thought you were, okay.
yeah, I do not have a graduate degree. I'm a worker bee. I love working. I learn by working, and I couldn't stand school. School made me very restless. And when I used to work in the astronomy department, that's why I have such an interest in astronomy. I did instrumentation for them, similar to what I do now, but just in astronomy. And I just loved working. I would go to, I started as a summer student. I would go to school, I would get restless, and then I would go to the lab to work, and I'd be so happy. So I finished my degree and just started working for them. Okay. So I worked for them for 10 years for 10 years, including my summer student. And then I went on to do the medical imaging. So anyway, so the ferrocell is not this is not the picture of a quantum field. Yeah. It is not, I can tell you right now, it's not a quantum field. Basically what happens is when you put, okay, here's a picture of the iron filings, right? So when you put a magnet with iron filings, the iron filings line up to the magnetic field lines, and you get this kind of a picture. Okay, so the ferrocell is really just tiny, tiny, tiny nanoparticles that are polarizable. You can think of them as tiny, tiny iron filings. And when you put a magnet near the ferrocell, the tiny, tiny nanoparticles, first of all, what they do is they line up into these strings. Okay, so they do this same thing that the iron filings do. They line up into these strings, and then they line up, into basically this pattern. But you can't see it because they're so. This is looking at it through a microscope. Okay, so these are tiny. This is like in the microns, in the nano/micron range, right? You cannot see this with your eyes. When you look at a ferrocell, it just looks transparent. Okay, and so and so basically, what this image is really just, you got to have a bunch of light sources around the lens, and the lights are shining off of these nanoparticles, and then they produce those patterns. Okay, they produce these patterns. So here's one that's really interesting. And this, so Ken Wheeler also kind of talks about these centrifugal and centripetal and all this stuff, right? And I don't know, like maybe that's true of the ether. So I'm still trying to figure out how a magnet works, and there are a lot of people doing this as well. So it could be the ether is doing this, right? But the field is not doing it. The field is just, well, people confuse, the field with something that it's not. And so this is not a quantum field, but it is a field. It is a magnetic field. And the lights that come from around here are, so you can see, here's my simulation. Here's my software simulation, and I'm simulating light sources in a similar way to how this image was taken. And you can see that it is creating the same picture. Okay, so this is my simulation is working because it not only does it create the paths of the lines, but it also creates the right shape for these black regions, which Ken Wheeler refers to as black hole. And I don't think he's terribly wrong. I think magnets are black holes, and I think black holes are magnets.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So here is a picture of the black hole, that famous picture that they took.
Yeah.
It's not a picture. This is a rendering of weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of accumulations of data that they put together to create this picture. It's not a picture. It's not a snapshot of a black hole. But this is what their data put together as if as close you could look to a black hole. And what I found was I find that it's very similar to when I do continuous lighting around a ferrocell. I get a very similar kind of a pattern. Okay, so when you put it up next to this picture, you can see that there are a lot of similarities. You've got this black region. Okay, here's another one. So here's the black hole, and here's a bunch of pictures I took. I think this is an N52 neodymium magnet, and this is an N42. So the N52, the stronger the magnet, the darker the black hole is. Now, it's not a black hole. The reason this is black is because the nanoparticles, are pointing in such a way that the light is reflecting away from your eye. So the ferrocell is just reflecting light. It's just reflecting light. And wherever light is not reflected towards your eye, it looks black. Okay, but if I was standing over here, I would see something different than if I was standing over here.
Yeah.
So
it's just an optical illusion. Yeah.
It's an optical effect.
Yeah, effect. Yeah.
I get in trouble with people, like the people that are in love with a ferrocell. If I call it an optical illusion, they get mad. It is an optical effect.
Yeah.
It is optics. It is optics. There's not a quantum effect. It's just high school physics. It's angle I equals angle R. It's the law of reflection. That's it.
It's like looking in the mirror and then saying that person in the mirror is like a quantum you.
Looking at through the mirror is a quantum effect because I look backwards or something. I don't know.
You're saying that person is a quantum centrifugal version of you. No, it's just you.
Yeah. Okay, but I do want to show you something really interesting about this and related to black holes. Okay, so let's see if I can find my video. Where is it? The Kara black hole. I hope I still have it up somewhere. Oh, here it is. Okay. So can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did a video. You might have seen it. So that is the video of a simulation of a Kerr black hole. The Kara black hole, Kerr, however you say that.
It's literally just a ferrocell. Yeah.
Right? It does. And so then I will blend into in a second the rotating magnet. So I took a magnet, simulated a rotating magnet using my Ferrobright software. Okay, see, it looks just like the rotating Kerr black hole.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a so that's what gave me the idea that the black hole is, so there they are together.
Yeah. It's just a giant magnet.
It's a black hole is a giant magnet, and that's something that Ken Wheeler does say.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I think he was one of the first ones to say it, but then he adds a
Yeah,
whole bunch of terminology and.
So it's a coherent. So a chunk of metal is an incoherent object, magnetic object, or dielectric object, however you, whatever terminology.
Counter space. Yeah.
And a magnet is a coherent. So what happens when, say, a supernova goes to, collapses, the black hole part becomes coherent like a magnet. And okay, there we go. That's it. So so Ken Wheeler is a little bit right, I think, when he talks about that. And black hole, I believe, is a coherent. He says a coherent dielectric object, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. It is very polarized. It is one object. It is not like a magnet is like one magnet. It's not like a bunch of magnets. When you take two magnets and put them together, those two become one magnet.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you take the North Pole and the South Pole and put them together, then that block wall, it's not a block wall, but that, the center of the magnet shifts to the center of the two magnets. That becomes one magnet. Okay. So then I think I have something that shows that nicely here. Yeah. So that's where the magnets, I say magnets have the property of self-similarity, because if you take one magnet and break it in half, then you have two magnets, each with a block wall, if you want to call it that. It's not a block wall by definition, but it is. That's what Ken Wheeler calls it. And so you get two magnets with a central region, and when you break those in half, then you get four magnets. You don't get four quarters of a magnet. And so that's what gave me the idea that magnets have the property of self-similarity, and that might explain the fractal nature of the universe. Yeah. Because everything is a magnet, technically. Even an atom is a magnet. It's the proton has a magnetic moment. An electron has a magnetic moment. They don't call them magnets because they're so small and they're weak, whatever, but they have magnetic moments. And what's a magnetic moment? Well, that's a magnetic moment, right? So, yeah. So
yeah, I saw from your video, actually, recent one. You asked ChatGPT, is a proton a magnet? Is an electron a magnet?
Yeah.
And they're all like, yeah, it is. And that software, we'll go through it as we go along. That software with the electric field is literally a magnetic field, but the charges are together.
Yeah.
that was pretty mind-boggling too.
Yeah. And like, you can't really dispute that. That's what it looks like. And so instead of scientists like to pull things apart and say, this is this and this is this, but it might all be just the same thing.
Yeah. And it's all just eventually just sound of the ether. If we have some comments here, Archaic Sage says Ken is far ahead of his time. Yeah, but I think he's ahead of his own time too.
He's on his own time. Yeah.
Restless Native says the tattooed monkey and Professor OIBO opened my mind to this. But yeah. Ken.
I'm grateful to Ken because he sent me my first ferro lens, actually.
Oh yeah, he sent you. I think I ordered mine from Vandrelli or something like that. But yeah, he sent you his.
Okay, so here is the actual one I got from Ken, but it's leaked a little bit. But you know what? His work's the best of anyone. Like, I got one from Tim. Tim actually sent me his. He sent me his light box, which is right here. Okay. So here are the lights. Actually, I can take the lights out.
I have one that's small. I'm gonna go bring mine. 1 second. I'll bring it. I'll be back. All right, I'm back.
Okay.
Right. So this is the one I have.
Okay.
I think I got it from Tim as well, Vandrelli. But it's a small one, yeah.
That's a nice one, yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have had an interesting time with Tim. I don't know if you spent much time with him, but
No, I
he
just
he
ordered it
was
and
one
everything.
he
Yeah.
was one of the ones. So he's works with that guy at, that says that the ferrocell is a quantum effect or whatever, quantum field. And for some reason he didn't like my explanation for the ferrocell. Even though I wrote a beautiful computer, well, I didn't write it actually. AB Science wrote the code. I have to give him credit because he sent me the code because he's really good at Python coding. And so he sent me the code and I just reworked it to do all my images. But Tim, and then I started writing my paper, Demystifying the Ferrocell, which I have on ResearchGate. And I was, sharing it with him, and
I'm gonna share my screen right now, and we'll go over that. I'll share it right here.
Okay.
Where's the publish? Okay, I don't know. Just go here. No, wrong one. Oh, this one. Share this and go back here. Yeah, I'll just share it. Yeah, so you can continue speaking. I just wanted to show your work as well as we.
Yeah. So what happened was he didn't like. So I was just saying that it was reflecting light. That the whole point of the images, the lines and the curves and everything, was because the light was reflecting off the nanoparticles, which is 100% true because the simulation proves it. Okay. And so, he was reading my paper and he said, "Oh, I think you should call it scattering." And I'm like, no. Okay. It is reflecting light is what causes the patterns, and scattering is what causes the fuzziness of the images. So scattering muddies the picture. You know what I mean? So my simulation, if I don't do any scattering, then I get perfect clean lines. Well, that's not what the ferrocell looks like. The ferrocell looks a little fuzzy. So we had to inject like a scattering, first order scattering implementation on the software to make it look a little softer, the image, right? And so for some reason he didn't like that. He got really mad and he blocked me and disowned me.
Okay, yeah. So,
Right.
well, this raises my because like I'm pretty big in the conspiracy game. So, like the ferrocell got my attention because I think it's exactly what it did. Well, as you said, it simplifies like black holes, magnetism, the ferrocell. So there's I have some sort of suspicion if I'm not claiming Tim or even Ken are purposely trying to keep it covered up, but I think there might be some element. I'll be open to that, where they know that you're right.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. Like people maybe they have their egos and they don't want to give up on what they thought it was, right? And AB and I kind of proved it was AB. AB figured it out, and then he just showed me how to do it. And my first simulation was on Blender, and it worked like a charm. I'm like, okay, this must be it. And then
I was trying to find your paper on it. I think I didn't add the link.
It's on ResearchGate.
ResearchGate. Was it called Demystifying?
Yeah, Demystifying the Ferrocell.
Yeah, I'll add it because this is very important. Just because it's like it's irrefutable, especially once you have the software. I'm like, that's literally a ferrocell.
You can't, even.
So the thing is, it's like I don't know why, because initially I was before I posted about Ken Wheeler, like talking about him, like this is probably some hidden secret stuff. And once I got yours, I'm like, all right, you're right. Even Ken's wrong, and I'm like, someone's got to correct themselves. They can't just.
Ken will never, and he doesn't ever talk to me directly. And people say, "Oh, you should collaborate with Ken." I'm like, no, Ken is a lone wolf. You cannot collaborate with someone like Ken. And a lot of independent researchers are like that. And I'm even a little bit. I like to work, I work on my own, but I do like to collaborate. Like I collaborated with Jeff Yee. He's got his wave energy model is really great. Like there's so many people that have really great ideas. Yeah. And I'm not sure where I stand with Robert DeStinti because he's very standoffish as well with me. So I don't know. I get into trouble with the guys.
Yeah.
They don't like me for some reason.
I like DeStinti's videos, and then all of a sudden he's talking about 500 times speed of light to save humanity before UN.
Yeah, I know. And then people call him a crackpot, and then I get mad because he's not a crackpot. Actually, the Stinty is really smart, and all these people I think have one thing in common. I think they all have Asperger's syndrome.
Oh,
And I'm
interesting.
not joking. I'm not joking because I know people. I know a few people with Asperger's syndrome, and they're all very similar in that they just have this laser focus on what they're doing, and they don't want to talk about anything else except what they're doing. And you know, they're very they appear narcissistic a little bit, and but they're not. They're just
Yeah, yeah,
really
no,
focused, so.
I agree on that, but I like again the reason I'm even having this live stream is I think you're onto something like pretty big, which is simplifying quantum mechanics. Because like quantum mechanics should not require a PhD just to have a clue what it's talking about. Like so,
Exactly.
so
And
so
yeah.
and a dumbed down population is easier to control.
They
But
don't
also,
want us to know the truth, and even because the truth is so simple,
yeah,
and
and
people
that's
that get their
where.
PhDs have to almost make things complicated, and that's why that guy, Emmanuel
Yeah.
Margulis, got his PhD because it sounded really interesting and complicated, even though the ferrocell is nothing like that. So
No, because
it's interesting,
no,
yeah.
no, 100% agree. Because so for me, I actually have a degree in civil engineering, and then I did a master's in mining engineering with
Oh, nice. Oh,
a semi minor in IT,
but
information technology. But then I went full time on Matthews Solutions early on.
yeah.
But so I never thought I was going to use my degree ever. But the thing is, I understood like how the whole system worked. And then once I came across 9/11, which literally just shows free energy suppression. That kind of
Well, you think that was a free energy
oh yeah,
like
no, that's 100.
demolition,
No, no,
like
not a
evaporation, like
like a
I,
dustification. The have you
yeah,
heard of Dr. Judy Wood? So
no,
like oh so Bob Greener he doesn't talk he talks about it a bit in his. So Bob Greener is the Martin Fleischmann Memorial
yeah,
Project.
Bob, yeah, I know Bob.
Yeah, so he knows about 9/11 as well. So I think he probably got into it, or no, he was told afterwards. But 9/11 was a cold fusion event. Even so like
Oh,
so even cold fusion, like the have you heard of Stephen Jones ever at all?
heard the name, yeah.
So Stephen Jones worked in the Department of Energy. He's the one that made everyone vote on whether they should continue funding cold fusion research. So Martin
Okay,
Fleischmann were waiting upon the approval of Stephen Jones. So he got everyone to vote not to fund cold fusion. And then
right.
after 9/11, Stephen Jones started he started either founding or helped found architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. So you have the guy covering up cold fusion, Stephen
Is
Jones, is
is in charge of the research.
no
That's interesting.
no so he covered up yeah so Stephen Jones cold fusion, Stephen Jones cold fusion. So he was the one, yeah, Stephen Jones. You see Cold Fusion, if you go on his wiki, Cold Fusion, he was the one covering it up. It's saying that Martin Fleischmann were all wrong. So you can see right here in the 80s.
Yep.
And he was the government, yeah, so he worked for the government, worked for Los Alamos, etc. And he was saying that, so as Martin Fleischmann and Stanley Pons they were talking about the results, so right here.
Yep.
He came up with a muon catalyzed fusion, which is a similar, but it's like it's like I think some sort of environmental, like it's like a big scale type of cold fusion. It's not the one that they were doing, so he tried to muddle up, and then he got them to vote to not fund cold fusion. And then as Dr. Judy Wood became aware, well, I know as said, she pretty much uncovered, if you ever seen my videos, that 9/11 was a cold fusion event. He started being part of the controlled opposition, saying it wasn't, it was explosives, etc.
Yeah.
So this is literally the cold fusion guy that covers up, and then so he covered up cold fusion, and then he covered up 9/11.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. That he was put in charge of
Yeah, yeah,
controlling the narrative behind it.
yeah, and you could even see Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project. He alludes to he doesn't like being too vocal on it, but he is Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project YouTube. Yeah, so he understands 9/11 as well.
Okay. Yeah.
You could see his thing. I think he has Andrew Johnson, but he tries to avoid discussion
Well,
about
he
it.
doesn't want to. I mean, his channel could get shut
Oh,
down.
and like the Hutchison effect. You've heard of John
Yep.
Hutchison as
Yep.
well?
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
so John Hutchison, there's a couple interesting ones. So he actually wrote he wrote an affidavit because Judy Wood actually did a legal case against the government for their 9/11 cover-up, like against the NIST report. And John Hutchison actually signed under oath that, so he said that 9/11 was a large-scale John Hutchison effect. And I have it on actually my Telegram here. I'm gonna we'll get back to the thing. I just want to show this is pretty important.
That's interesting.
And then also interesting, Hutchison also is like he's like cross-dressing now for some reason. That's
no.
So that's another.
I'm not sure why I'm not too surprised.
Yeah, so
he's like an odd character, so I'm not too surprised.
So here's my on Telegram here. So this is 2000. What is it? 2000 something, 2008 or something. So Providence, British Columbia. He actually lived near me early on. So John Hutchison, being being duly sworn, deposes and says, "I am full age, etc. I make this affidavit in support of the contentions of Dr. Judy Wood, plaintiff in there." And then if you go, I just have some screenshots. So it included levitation of effect. So it talks about his Hutchison effect. He swears under oath that he is not lying about Hutchison effect. So it has levitation of heavy objects, material spontaneous fracturing of it. And then he also, further on here.
Yeah, that explains how they're able to vaporize the giant metal columns.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah. So, but the word vaporizing, like Judy Woodall says, it implies heat. It's a new phenomenon.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, I mean like
it turns it to dust.
Disintegrate.
Yeah,
turn to dust.
Yeah, so turn to
and
dust.
That's what you see. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then going over here, upon examination of destruction, this is John Hutchison in his affidavit. He says that upon examination of the destruction effects done to the WTC on 9/11, as documented by Dr. Wood and as reviewed by me, I can and do assert that WTC was destroyed by devices that are scaled up, refined, and/or weaponized versions of the effects that I named the Hutchison effect. and we'll go over some of that later. But yeah, so this is some epic stuff. And so that's the thing, if you weren't aware of Judy Wood or 9/11 stuff. So the 9/11 got me into the ferrocell. Like I wouldn't have got into the ferrocell and your work if it wasn't for 9/11. Because like I said, I wanted to. I didn't think I'll ever use my degree. So I have a degree in civil engineering. Once I came across her work, I'm like, all right, she's right. And then I'm like, all right, I have to go back to my academic stuff. So I did a bunch of research on alternative science, and then I came up across Ken Wheeler, and then your work, and also some gyroscope stuff, which I think actually also proves some ether, but like a direct evidence for it, as opposed to other stuff. Anyways, so I'll sidetrack.
So speaking of the ferrocell and the black hole, before we move on, I do want to say one thing, is that image that makes the ferrocell look like a black hole, both the that care animation and the images gave me the idea that the ether is a kind of ferrofluid.
Yeah.
Okay, it is a polarizable medium, and it is a kind of ferrofluid. So it behaves like a ferrofluid at a different scale. So you've got the iron filings at the human scale, then you've got the nanoparticles of the ferrofluid, right? And then you've got the quantum particles, of the ether, right? That all behave when the magnet is present. They line up with the magnet in the same way, right?
Yeah.
So that's, if I'm going to say the ether is I'm going to say that the ether is a ferrofluid, or it is like analogous to the ferrofluid in the ferrolens, right? So it's
No, 100% agree. And
right, that's the picture there that you want to see. Okay, those little lines there would be the quantum particles of the ether that stretch out into long strings, just like they do in the ferrofluid, like I showed you a little while ago. And it is a polarizable medium. I mean, we know that the vacuum is a polarizable medium. They just don't call it a medium. For some reason, all other waves in the universe operate with the medium except for light.
Yeah, and this is the ferro nanoparticles moving, and then is there some actual movement inside the ferrocell? I believe, like once you have it, do these ever like move laterally as opposed to just?
They do. There is a drift actually. There is a drift, and I want to get myself a a microscope so I
Okay.
can see it myself, because I only have access to these images from other people. So there's, without a magnet, you
Yeah.
got these dots, okay?
And
And
as-
then you put the magnet in place and you see that the fluid stretches out into these needle-like structures. And the interesting thing, even with these black dots, you can see like almost a fractal pattern.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Right, you can
mentioned
see that they're not all the same size. There's small ones and mediums and large ones, and it's all like these magnetic moments are just sort of neutralizing the space around them. Basically, is what's going
Yeah.
on.
And then this other thing I came across. Anytime I watch your videos, I'm like just blown away by how you've simplified many many years of my thought process. I'm trying to understand what's going on, and it's much simpler. Anyway, so this link, I found the link to this.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I found the link to that software. See the software.
Okay.
Background there. I just want to scroll it. I put it somewhere. Oh, electric field simulator. So yeah, this live stream is a bit all over the place. I just want to check some stats and see how people are doing.
Okay.
So we have 15 people watching right now. All right, unreal, 15. And oh, yeah, some people are. Someone actually had an insight right here. This just dawned on me. A diner, it says ultrasound to decalcify the pineal gland. All right. All right, so we've got someone. And someone says, archaic sage, to truly understand all of this, you have to go deep into the ancient philosophy and monism. They already had it figured out. That's why I think there are things Ken knows that you're missing. Oh, interesting, but Ken.
No, I don't. Okay, I want to address that, because one thing that Ken Wheeler talks about that I totally get, and I think it's super important, is the principle of incommensurability. And that's what he extracted from the ancient teachings. Okay. And so I think that that's a really important point, and I do use that as a tool. You've probably seen some of my videos on the principle of incommensurability. Basically, to me, it's a binary system. It's a binning system. And so you've got sort of dielectric and magnetic. You know, like you can bin things, you know, capacitance and inductance. So you can take all these concepts from physics and from nature, and you can sort of bin them, like darkness and light, silence and sound, right?
Yeah.
And you can't have you can't have music without silence. They have an actual symbol for silence, you know, for a pause. And so, you know, you can't have music without you know, if everything was light, if there wasn't darkness, there couldn't be a differentiation between colors. You know what I mean? Like,
No, that's 100%.
so yeah. So I really, I got that. I learned that from Ken, and I had to watch his videos 100 times before I really understood what he was.
Okay.
You know, he repeats himself, which is good.
Yeah. Okay. I think you finally explained it to me. I finally grasped what he was saying. 'Cause I've heard him talk about it many times, but I think your explanation just now.
Yeah. See, yeah, exactly. So I think I'm just better at explaining things, because in order for me to understand it, I have to simplify the words in my head.
Yeah.
Right. Ken likes to babble and use these big complicated words, and then
like
I have to
5,000
listen
videos,
to it over and over and over again. And he repeats himself, which is good, but after a while, it's not good.
Yeah. No,
after a while, I need to hear something new, right? So
yeah. And speaking of the
he
principle.
keeps talking about this, I don't know, hippie chick on crack or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he says he says a whole bunch of stuff. But interesting about that, I actually came across. I actually defined my own philosophy on life. I call it MES duality. It's pretty much it's very similar to incommensurability, but it's hard to pronounce. It's basically the idea of dualism brings out reality, but my view is that the dualism is an illusion. Like when you remove it all, you just have the ether. You have nothing.
Right.
And there's nothing visible. And then, but then to bring about our perception of existence, it has that illusion of duality or incommensurability. So so the only way you can have light or sound is the absence of it, and
exactly. You can't understand it without the absence of it. Yeah.
But I take it to all things.
Even the idea, the word incommensurability, I think, is also misunderstood, because there it says it cannot be compared or measured, which is true. So two things are incommensurate if they don't have the same basis, if they can't be compared or measured. Like real and imaginary numbers are incommensurate principles, because real numbers are not imaginary numbers, and imaginary numbers are not real numbers. But together, you get this beautiful Euler's formula.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
So real numbers, I guess real numbers are useful on their own. Imaginary numbers, You can't have an imaginary number without that 2 by 2 matrix. You need that 2 by 2 matrix to truly understand imaginary numbers.
Yeah.
So you can't have imaginary numbers unless you have the real numbers first to fill in that forward diagonal.
And and another term that I got from Ken Wheeler is actually my favorite word, and his favorite word, I believe, reification. So like so the concept of reification, for example, in when you look at light, when you say it's a wave, light is a wave of what?
Yeah.
So otherwise you're reifying, or you're making an abstract concept of a wave as if it's concrete.
Yeah.
So
well, it is a wave of ether if the ether exists.
But the mainstream just says it's a wave. It's a particle and a wave. But a wave of
I
what?
love what? Yeah, they never. Yeah, they never.
Yeah.
How could there be a wave without a medium? And they deny the medium because of the Michelson-Morley experiment. And the Michelson-Morley experiment
and I just saw your video, on that. That's it's so simple.
Misinterpreted, maybe.
Yeah, so simple. Your Michelson-Morley experiment. Actually, there's another comment before we continue. Timothy Sullivan says there should be 15,000 people watching, but we're loving it. All right. So he says there should be 15,000. There's 12 right now. Unreal. Right. Yeah, we should have way more. And then Bird Nest Rat says all leads back to perpetual warmongers. Something like that. All right, let's continue. Is there anything else? What else you want to say about the Ken Wheeler and / ferrocell? Because otherwise we're going to continue going.
All right.
We had the Faraday disk and the isopotentials. Because I did talk about Faraday in my previous live stream. Because
I do have a few slides on that, so I will share my screen if that's okay.
You can see those slides. I even have the video. The video you had before was.
Well, these slides will be. I think the slides will be more useful.
Yeah.
Let me just get to there. So I have these.
All right. So you have it
here. Okay. So and you can see this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I think the main problem was this, paradox, this Faraday paradox in the homopolar generator, right? So when you spin, so you have a conducting disk and you have a magnet where the north and south are, here and here.
Mm-hmm.
When you spin the conducting disk and you don't spin the magnet, you get a voltage. Okay, so the charges in the metal are moving relative to the magnet.
Sorry, I just want to chime in. Can you remove the top ribbon so that it's bigger for the audience? Just this. No, on your screen, go back.
Who, me?
No, yeah. Can you remove that top ribbon of your PowerPoint just so it's easier to see?
How do I do that?
Oh, I think you can right-click the open space. Yeah, you just hide it. And you can.
Is that okay now?
That's good. You can maybe zoom in a bit more if you want, just so everybody has a bigger. Yeah, there, perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Okay.
Great. Thanks.
Good. So, and so when you spin the disk and not the magnet, you get a voltage. If you spin the disk and you spin the magnet, you get a voltage. If you spin the magnet, you don't get a voltage. Now, does that seem like a paradox to you?
Yeah, because I saw your video.
Faraday's law is a changing magnetic field in a closed loop induces an electromotive force. Okay, it induces the voltage in the wire. When the charges in the wire experience this induced EMF, they move, and they create an electric current in the wire. So the charges need to be moving relative to the magnetic field. Okay, so you would think that if you turned the charges and the magnet together, you wouldn't get a voltage, and that if you spun the magnet, you would get a voltage. But here is the interesting thing: when you spin a magnet, the field does not change. The field does not change. And actually, I have a video I can show you that I made this morning. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to play this and let's see. Show you that has to do with. Can you hear my voice on the Faraday paradox and the homopolar generator? There is apparently a little paradox. There's no paradox, but some people see it as a paradox. And so what I am going to do here is I've got this jig that I made with my 3D printer that has a circular hole in it. I'm going to place the magnet in the hole, and we are going to look at iron filings under the influence of this magnet, okay? So you can see
I'm a
as
little
I move
sniffly. I have a
the
bit of a
piece of
cold.
paper around
Sorry.
that the filings are moving around with the magnet, or because of the placement of the magnet. And when I take the magnet in and out, or if I move it left and right, okay, I get the motion of the iron filings as I move the magnet around. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin the magnet. Okay, I'm going to spin the magnet, and what you find is that the iron filings do not.
Wow.
Now, when I slightly move it, translate it, they move. But when I only spin it, the iron filings are not moving. So therefore, the magnetic field is not moving when I spin the magnet. It only moves when I move the magnet. If I wiggle it inside the hole, because the hole is bigger than the magnet, and if I move it in and out, it will move the iron filings. But if I only spin the magnet, the iron filings don't move. So therefore, the magnetic field is not moving when you spin the magnet about its axis. So this would be north and this would be south maybe. And so when I spin it about that axis, I do not get any motion of the iron filings, no matter which.
Okay, so
That's
yeah,
amazing. I've never seen someone do that with the iron filings.
I just thought of it this morning when I woke up, because I knew I had these slides in here, and I'm like, how am I going to explain that to them in a way like that I can show them? And then I went, oh, I could try this. So I just thought of that this morning.
Well, you should upload that as well. That's yeah.
Okay.
And then someone says,
So-
Stephen F says, amazing demo. Yeah.
I might remake the video without me sniffling too much, because I was sniffling a bit in the video.
Yeah. All right,
But
that's all
okay,
good.
so basically that explains why when you spin the magnet, you don't see a voltage. But when you spin them both, the charges, when you spin the magnet, the field doesn't change.
Mhm.
So spinning them both together is the same as if you just spin this one. It's cutting the charges in the disk are cutting the field lines of the static magnetic field, even though when this is spinning, the field is still static. And I think it's because
Another thing that I may I just had a brain thought right now, because let's say you spun it super fast, and if there's no drag on the iron filings, then it would suggest that whatever the field is, it's not emanating from the magnet in any way. It's kind of like
it's not emanating from the magnet. What I believe is, remember that picture that you just showed? I don't think I have it on my list here, but the picture that you showed of with the black background and what I said the ether looks like.
Yeah, the ether. It was the positron, electron, positron.
Yeah, the electron-positron pairs. The connection of the electron-positron pairs to the magnet would not change.
Yeah.
And that's what the magnetic field is, in my opinion, is the ether lining up with the magnetic field. Now, when you spin the magnetic field this way, you can kind of think of it in terms of, if you think of it in terms of the isopotentials.
Yeah, like
let me go back.
Yeah, so my comment was
so I kind of showed. So the isopotentials aren't changing when you spin it this way.
Yeah.
Right.
No, sorry to chime in. I just wanted to. So my point was to state that could be like evidence for the ether. So this is a lot of people say there's no evidence for ether, etc. I'm like that is likely one that I would put in the side of ether existing.
So the formation of the ether magnet does not change when you spin the magnet this way. Now, if you spin the magnet north to south, then that's actually the best way to spin it if you want to generate electricity.
Yeah, the most.
And that's what the
generators, I think.
The generators do. The wind generators do. They spin the magnet north to south, and then you got continuous changing of these isopotential lines are continuously changing, and therefore you're going to continuously get a current running in the circuit. So that is explains the paradox. There's no paradox, right? It's not a paradox, but it's interesting in itself. It seems like it should be. Seems like if you
It's
spin
so
the
obvious,
magnet,
yeah.
that the field lines are going to cut the charges, but they don't. Nothing
Yeah.
changes when you spin it that way.
Yeah, and again, I think it's alluding to ether. And then Stephen F says, yeah, ether was what I thought as well. The one who said amazing demo. So that, okay,
Thanks.
so you're not sharing the screen anymore, all right?
I'll come back.
Yeah. This is yeah, this is the live streams. I like it because it's like it forces me to focus on the topic at hand and gain education as we go.
Yeah.
All right. So did you want to share another screen or you?
Yeah, sure, I could do that.
No,
Yeah.
I thought you were looking for one. Okay, because I can go
No,
back.
no. I mean, it depends on what's the next thing we're talking
Oh,
about.
okay, yeah, because you have infinite info. Let's go back to live streaming, and then we'll find it. Okay, so we're back here. So we have 17 people now. Okay, so some people showed up. And another thing, if an 9/11 Revisited was here, because he usually sends me a whole bunch of videos like whenever someone asks me a question by 9/11. So I was wondering if you're still watching, or it might be too late. He's in South Africa. Well, I can't say that. Somewhere else. Anyways, he usually tells me, sends me stuff. I was gonna ask if you're around, send me some clips about the cold fusion and Stephen Jones and his flip flop, like where he switches from cold fusion and then years later goes to 9/11. All right, so let's go back to if you can find me some of the good stuff there. All right, and let's see what the next one is. So we went over the isopotentials. Oh, we haven't discussed isopotentials, like.
Okay,
well, the video.
that's a good one. Yeah,
I have the video here because I think you had a pretty good video. I'm gonna go scroll through it, and then if you have anything.
Today we're going to talk about.
Well, I'm gonna go through this. Just fast forward. Because I think you had some great clips of the isopotentials. So you had this here. So the paradox is when you spin the conducting disk and not the magnet, you get a voltage. But when you spin the magnet or both, you don't get a voltage. So that is.
No, when you spin both, you do get a voltage.
Oh yeah. I mean, never mind. Yeah, you got that. Yeah, when you spin both, you do. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so when you spin this one by itself, not this, you don't get a voltage. But when you spin both or this by itself, you do get a voltage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So the idea is that the charges have to be moving.
Yeah.
As long as the charges are moving, then you're going to get a voltage.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so because when you spin both, the paradox is you would think that because they're not moving relative, they shouldn't get a voltage, but they still do.
Yeah.
So that is so. There's the isopotential lines here, and again, it looks very.
I don't see anything.
Oh, sorry about that. That's why. So whenever
Okay.
I'm talking as if I have stuff.
Yeah, no, I should. Yeah, I noticed that you weren't sure. You were saying here, but there wasn't here. But
because the thing is with the because you won't be able to play audio unless I go each tab at a time. Otherwise, I would share the window, and it's so annoying on Google Meet. Yeah. So this is the setup. Here's the paradox. So this is the only you get a voltage. The only one that is as expected is when you rotate the copper disc.
Yeah.
And then you get a voltage. But but when you rotate
regardless
this one,
of whether you spin the magnet or don't spin the magnet,
so
the charges need to be in motion.
Yeah, that's the only time. And then the paradox is if you spin this one and this, you still get a voltage. But if you spin just this alone, you don't get a voltage.
Yeah.
So that's paradox. And I'm just gonna go through. So this was a paradox. This is the isopotential. I think the Snyder you said software.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
And this cube is the cube we use in 3D ultrasound.
Wow.
So this is the cube that we put the 3D ultrasound into that we can slice and dice the different parts of the anatomy.
Yeah, and I just want to go through because a lot of people may not know what the isopotentials mean. Or I think I think it's in this video or one of the videos. The isopotentials. Okay, so everything is pressure mediation. Ken Wheeler.
Which is Ken, yeah.
I think it might have been one of your later videos where you showed the magnets inside the iso. Unless you have the image. I could go and scroll.
I actually have a few images, on that. So I will switch to sharing.
All right.
And I will share my screen and then switch back to my PowerPoint.
All right.
Okay, so here is a picture of the isopotentials using Michael Schneider's software. And I have my definition of a field here, so hopefully you can see that. And so a field... my definition of field, because Ken Wheeler says, "Oh, nobody ever defines a field." So I'm defining a field using my words. A field is a region of space, a region of the universe, could be anywhere in the universe, where each location in the field of view So in this picture is assigned a physical quantity. Okay, so a magnetic field is a field, and this is the isopotential field is also a field, and the magnetic field is sort of orthogonal to the isopotential field. These are both different parts of the same story. They're different aspects of magnetism, and one is not better than the other. And so a lot of people say, oh, isopotentials don't exist. Well, they do exist, because I can assign a value, a physical quantity, to every location in my field of view, which is a number. So the difference between the isopotential and, say, the magnetic field is a magnetic field has a vector, it points in a direction, and the isopotential field is a scalar. It is, so so if I was measuring this in volts, so if I use a Hall sensor, which gives me a voltage, so if this is 1 volt, this is 2 volts, this is 3 volts, this is 4 volts, this is 5 volts, and you can see it kind of accelerates as it gets closer to the magnet. So if, this isn't necessarily what it is in real life, but if that it just gives you an idea of why we draw the lines like this. So this is 1 volt, and then the space between 1 volt and 2 volt gets smaller, and the space between 2 and 3 gets, and this creates an acceleration. That's why the little magnet over here is going to accelerate towards, because the gradient, and you can think of this as a pressure gradient, as Ken went for. This is field pressure mediation. This is a picture of field pressure mediation, or just a field pressure. This could be, you could interpret this as a field pressure. And this would explain why a tiny magnet here would accelerate towards the magnet. It's going to go in the direction of the sort of orthogonal to so it's going to go here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then it's going to fly to the magnet. It's probably going to end up, the pressure mediation will get minimized, and it's going to end up probably pointing like right here, the magnet. So so I think Ken is correct when he says that everything is field pressure mediation. This is a picture of a field. So this is a field just as good as the magnetic field. Magnetic field is one way of looking at a magnet, and this is just another way of looking at the magnet. And so I've argued with people like that guy Emmanuel, oh, there's no such thing as an isopotential field, doesn't exist. Well, here it is.
And the other thing is it's similar to the orbitals. Like I was trying to, I think in one of your later videos, it shows you had the little magnets. So for the viewers,
I got these right here. I got these right here. So these isopotentials match the orbitals of the electrons inside the atom. So I found that kind of shocking. I've never seen this before. No one ever showed this before, and I think it's because nobody thinks that the isopotential field is anything important. I don't know why. Like, obviously.
And for the viewers, if you want to just isopotentials, what she refers to is it's the same magnet strength. Like if you so it has the same strength everywhere. So if you have a magnet, and then this is graphing at all the locations the same strength.
This line here would all have the same strength. This line here would all have the same strength. This line here would all have the same strength. Right.
And that's why, assuming the orbitals are reflecting this same concept, they're moving in the path of the exact same, like they're not increasing or decreasing in the strength. They're going to go in the same free-flowing.
Well, that's not what they say, though. They say the electron can be anywhere in this field.
Yeah, in that region,
It can be anywhere in this field. So they don't know where the electron is, but it statistically can be anywhere in this field, and that's because it can't. So let's look at this one here. The electron can't be here. Because there's no isopotential there. The electron will not be there. It's only ever going to be on one of these isopotential like regions. So this region in here, or this region in here. It's never going to be, say, right here. Right. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, so I was really shocked to see the similarity between the isopotentials and the electron orbitals of an atom. And of course, then you can see the fractal scaling.
And they do this all for all of them.
So this is the 1s, and then we go in, and then the 2s and the 3p and the 4d, whatever. So you see it at all scales, and then you go one more scale up and you see it again. So it matches very perfectly. The isopotentials match exactly the electron orbitals as defined in mainstream physics. So I don't know why they call it something different than what it is. It's the isopotentials
Well,
of the atom.
well, I have my view why they do that, because similar to the other guy complaining about your isopotentials. Like when you see this image, I don't know what is there to complain about. It's literally it's like a perfect match.
Exactly.
Similar to the reflective software you have and
Yeah,
of the
yeah. You
ferrocell.
can't deny
it's the
there's
same
no
thing.
special thing going on here.
Yeah, so
It's just the language. And so my videos, you often hear me say the problem is with the language, and that is the problem. They're creating a language and they're separating things, and this is this and that is that, when they might be the same thing. Like these are the same things. These orbitals and the isopotentials are describing the same phenomenon, obviously. So why not just put them together? Like, why do we have to have separate
yeah.
languages for these different domains?
Yeah,
It's really annoying.
because like I was saying, is I think there's a very small like veil covering up like true science and cold fusion. Like getting right to cold fusion is.
Well, you know how I knew cold fusion was true? When they chased them out of town.
Oh, the Martin Fleischmann, yeah, it's Martin Fleischmann.
Yeah, when they chased them out of town,
Yeah.
Pons and Fleischmann, when they chased them out of town, I knew something was up, because they don't do that unless something's wrong. If they were wrong, they would just be wrong and they wouldn't care.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, 100%. And
So-
like I was saying, I got into cold fusion because of 9/11, and then the Stephen Jones.
Yeah. I had never heard about that being a cold fusion event. That's a really interesting idea. I'll have to I'll have to watch your videos more carefully and find out more about
I
that.
have several playlists. I have 2 on the 9/11 ones. Well, if you want, I could. If you ever need anything info on it, I can show you that. But I
Sure.
will look for some cold fusion. So I'm gonna go right now. I'm gonna go present my screen now. Okay, I'm gonna share mine and see what happens.
All right, I'll stop sharing mine.
Oh yeah, so I think we've covered some of that stuff and publish here. But I do want to show that image of the magnets. Like I'm gonna see if I can find it quickly in your videos, and I will go. I'm gonna go right here, and I'm gonna share this tab, and I'm gonna do some next level MES searching for your. Yeah, so when I watch your videos, I usually watch it like 2 to 3x speed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay. So relativity, my ether brain dump. I think it might have been in this single abstract, and I'm gonna open this one. The John Mackin one is interesting too.
and-
we still need to go to the electric field stuff. This was okay. I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, so this is self. All right, actually, I'll share this up. Sorry. Yeah, whenever I'm going through stuff and it looks like I'm not talking about the
Oh,
screen.
that's the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is how the ether lines up. It's basically small
Yeah,
magnets. So ether is like
Yeah.
small magnets, and then
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
else is big magnets.
Yeah. Oh, good. You got this simulation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got the simulation. I'm gonna. I just want to go through, and also you were able to show the unbound charges. So you changed up the law of unbound charges for the electric field. Law
Yeah.
of bound charges. We'll discuss that soon.
Yeah.
So this is the image I wanted
Okay.
to show.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So for those wondering about the isopotentials, also someone just says right here, William Grant says, "Love you both, epic," and then T. Lee M says, "Such a fantastic science project for kids, for science fairs." I think possibly your Byron
Absolutely,
Filings
yeah.
experiment.
For
Okay,
sure.
so we're right here, and
Yeah.
how's it show it? I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's showing a big screen. I want to make it like really big. Actually, it's all good.
It's fine. I
Yeah.
can see it.
Because we have our faces really big now. Because they usually had it
No,
smaller.
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh,
It's the
It's
same.
fine.
That's fine. I know. 'Cause on the live stream, I mean, because I'm looking
Oh,
at like seven,
yeah, I don't
I'm
have
looking
the
at
live
7 different things. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop sharing and then go back to sharing. Okay. This is what I mean having. Okay. There's the meat. I'm gonna
Oh yeah, you want it to be
Yes.
bigger. Yeah.
Stop sharing, and I'm gonna share now. My ether brain dump. Let's see if it gets it. I should make it. Yeah. So it should make
No,
everything.
that's fine.
Oh, and then okay. Now I'm gonna make it bigger. All right. I think it's better now.
No, it looks the same to me.
Oh no, on the live stream, I mean. Okay.
Oh, on the live stream. Okay, let me check the live stream.
Oh, so there it is. Yeah. Okay. So I think it's still the same. I don't know what just happened. I think I might have been on something else. Anyways, we are back.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Yeah.
I just
yeah.
wanted to show our faces.
OBS.
small.
OBS. Yeah.
Yeah. So the OBS is like acting up. Okay, anyways, so there is the isopotential with the magnets shown. So there, it shows you how. Notice how it cuts through all the same spots of the magnets. Just
Yeah.
it's a good illustration of it. So that's what I want.
Yeah,
to show.
and I actually have a slide of actual magnets, tiny magnets on a
Mhm.
big magnet that make that same pattern.
Okay.
I'll show that in a bit, but yeah, so that's interesting to show how things repel,
Mhm.
why the iron filings repel, right?
Yeah.
Why do they repel? Well, because the magnets are lined up side by side. So
Mhm.
north is next to north and south is next to south, and they repel. And so that explains why you see that, because the north wants to touch the south pole, and right. So now you've got north next to north and you have south next to south, and it causes the magnets to follow these patterns, to follow these field lines.
Mhm.
So, and you can also see that the magnet is going to line up orthogonal to, always exactly orthogonal to, maybe I didn't draw it perfectly, but orthogonal to the isopotential, right? So they want to sit on an isopotential, basically, right?
No, 100%.
And
Yeah. I just want.
yeah,
Okay, I'm still just trying to figure out this Google Meets because it's just before our faces were smaller and the screen was bigger. Now it's like opposite.
oh, maybe if you can drag
Mhm.
the line that's between what's the screen, and can you drag that
Oh,
to the right?
okay, I can't drag it. Okay, stop. I'm gonna try it one more time. So we're back to here, and now if I share my Aether brain dump, or I'm gonna go different one. Let's go FractalWoman here. Okay. Okay, it's still showing the big
Yeah.
big faces. I don't know how it does it the other way. I'm gonna do 10 more seconds, and otherwise it just continue on as we are. Yeah, I have no idea why this does that. And then present. Okay.
Is there any way of dragging? So I see a line between the faces and what you're displaying. Can you drag that sort of to the right so that it looks smaller, or?
Yeah, I don't see anything. No,
No.
that's just the my window. Okay, so that is it. We'll just continue on,
Yep, it's fine.
and we'll figure that out on another day. Okay, so we have how many hours we've gone in? We have 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'm gonna share this tab. Okay, so we have 13 people on, 1 hour and 40 minutes. We'll see how much longer I can go. I am losing.
You getting tired?
Oh yeah, because I'm standing like I was saying. It's
Yeah.
only way I can do this so I don't spend too long. All right, so let's continue further with the field model thingy. I have it right here. I'm gonna share this tab, and yeah, so I have this, and I'm gonna put this in the chat as well. So there is the electric field model. So if I put a proton, this is a
Could be a proton.
yeah, proton
Could
or
be a proton.
positron or whatever. All right, and then if I
Yep.
put in a negative one, so we have an electric field.
Yep.
But then if I move it closer to each other, it's literally identical to a magnetic field. If you just,
Yep. And you can see that it's a lot weaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So if you had two tiny, and the more you put in, the stronger it becomes.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll do
Yep.
some stuff like this.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and then do one more. So you can literally make a magnet from just the charge, and the fields look exactly the same, and that goes back to your Aether brain dump right here, and I'll share the screen. And this goes like this, bigger like that. All right. And I think it's over here, yeah. Then when you put them together, it just literally becomes the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So now you've got the lines going through the middle, and there's no, so
Yeah.
the divergence of the field is always 0.
Yeah.
So,
For
and that's,
charges together, yeah. So this is the kind of thing, like what I mean, like you're onto something which is simplifying. Like
yeah, it's all just changing the language. I'm not changing anything other than the language, like trying to teach it a little better so that, stupid people like me can understand.
no, it's smarter people. And you're able to program that Artemis using these simplified rotations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it did help. That did help. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't need like a PhD to do all this. All right. So let's continue.
You might be better off without one because yeah.
Or so the other
They
one
like
was
to complicate things to make it so they can have a PhD that's that thick instead of,
yeah.
2 pages.
Yeah, so then, well, another reason is like, imagine like you wanted to create some sort of free energy or cold fusion tech. The system is such that people think they need to go to school to get a PhD and then finally start trying to experiment.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you just go do it right now. As
Well,
we speak.
see, we live in a different world now because we have YouTube. We have YouTube. We can look things up. Back in the day, I had to literally read manuals in order to figure stuff out, and now I can watch YouTube videos. Like my 3D printer broke, and I had to fix it, and I needed to watch the videos to learn how to take it apart and put it back together. And
Oh yeah, well in that same way, like, but there's also a whole bunch of, at the same time, you're gonna have a whole bunch of mainstream content that you have to sift through.
yeah.
So like, for example, your
Well,
channel.
yeah, no, there's an art to that.
So then what I mean is to get to your channel, it's not for an average person. That's
Right.
what I mean. It's not easy for an average person to even know like that we
Right.
exist.
Yeah.
And it's like even when you went over the Michelson-Morley experiment, you were going over just a mainstream video, and they're just talking about the mainstream things. Like the first thing they
Yeah.
think about, it debunks ether. And when I spoke to someone, a friend who's not even a scientist, I talked about the ether, and he's like, "Oh, didn't they disprove that?" I'm like, "Well,
Well, that's what I get from everyone. I get that. Well, didn't they disprove it? Well, they said they disproved it. That doesn't mean they disproved it. They disproved. Here's what I say.
Yeah.
They had a model of the ether, and they disproved their model of the ether. But that doesn't mean there's another model of the ether that is better that they didn't disprove,
Yeah, 100%.
right? And so they just disproved what they thought the ether would do under the circumstances, and I think they're wrong. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think the ether is completely different than what they were thinking it was. So they think that we're going through a static ether the same way like we drive a car through air.
Yeah.
Right.
And like as I went through your video on it, yeah. So let's just look at the stuff to see which one you want to discuss first. So one of them was the Planck's constant, the photon. That was an epic one that you've done. And, well, actually, let's go through the fluff first, and then we'll get back to either the Michelson-Morley or the quantum, because I have those ones. Those are the big ones right here.
Okay.
So first of all, the fluff is your sister's birthday is Trump's birthday.
Yeah.
So she's the moonshot.
June 14th, not the same year, but the same day.
So
And she's the only one of the few people I know that aren't the haters. That I could talk to. Let's say that she's the only one of the few ones. My daughter and my sister were the only ones I could talk to during those days and not go insane.
Yeah, because
so I'm glad. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm making an assumption that you're not a hater.
Well, I think everything's a psyop, like a psychological.
Yeah. It's all psychological operation. He's probably in on the gig, right?
Well, yeah. So my view
You
is
think he's in on the gig, the gag.
No, 100% no. My view is that Trump is like an individual in 9/11. Like what I mean is that you know how 9/11 was an event where people like it changed the shape of the world and everyone's talking about it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But Trump
was a psychological operation to make everyone go cuckoo
on one individual. And notice how he's also like he's like orange as well. So it's kind of like a big target as well.
He was born on the blood moon.
Well, he's born on blood moon, but I had a whole bunch of coincidences that just kind of were absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah, I watched those videos actually.
Yeah,
that was really interesting. Yeah,
including the proposal of world government on June 14th, and the Roswell incident was on June 14th. And the Roswell, so the whole UFO site, the crash site, was closed off for 71 years or 70 years until Trump became president, and then he opened it up, or they opened it up.
Really?
And then he created the Space Force at the same time as COVID starting at 2019 December.
Yeah.
So what I mean is they're prepping for some sort of my view is a fake alien invasion.
Yeah. No, I've been at Project Blue Book, right?
Yeah, and then now you saw that the Mexicans have the alien coming back, or the aliens and the alien. Have you seen that one? Mexico, they had these investigators bring about a supposed alien.
No.
This was like a month ago or so ago. So I have put a photo here. So this was you've ever seen this one? I was like, alien revealed as cake. But anyways, these were the Mexican. This is a meme, but made from the supposed aliens. So they're really pushing it big time.
Yeah, it's been talked about in Congress, and it is kind of coming back into. They're trying to put it back into our consciousness, obviously.
Yeah, because I think
so they could do the psychological operation.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I think everything's psychological operation, and so Trump as well. He's gonna eventually win. So good thing I made this before, like Trump. So my view is Trump's gonna win again.
Yep.
And then so right now, you know how they keep saying Biden, he's wrecking everything. He's starting World War III with Israel, Hamas, etc. Yeah. So it's on purpose to make everyone want Trump again. And then once he wins, he'll bring about supposed world peace for like a year or two, and I think then the World War III starts.
Okay. An interesting theory.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's my.
I had
similar
thoughts. I had similar thoughts that it just everything seems too contrived to me. It seems too contrived and almost predictable. I don't know if you listened to X-22 report.
Oh, I heard about X-22, but yeah, again, I think most channels
and
are
Q and all that, right? Q.
Well, Q is all I think all disinfo. So they're also pushing for Iran war. Even Q is talking about even before Iran. He's talking about like Trump/Q was talking about war with Iran, and I even wrote an article about Iran. So I have a whole bunch of Iran stuff in my. I wrote an article. No, because World War III with Iraq, with Iran is coming. I wrote about my article from 2022, as the Ukraine crisis was happening. I wrote this article, from one scripted war to another war with Iran is coming. This was March 29th, 2022, and now they blame Hamas is blamed on Iran, and you can see I went through all this from like years, every year. 2020, Iran and the bomb. Biden saying bomb Iran, and even QAnon saying free Iran, fight regime change, blah blah blah, bomb Iran. So
wow.
So Q is it's like alt media trying to make Trump some hero, and then but again, the whole thing is about world war, and because like another thing, because I think you're a bit modest, because my view is your work on the ether, on ferrocell, etc., is bigger than Trump. Like Trump is just a puppet to get people distracted.
Well, that's a compliment.
No, so what I mean, is what we're discussing. Again, once you grasp cold fusion, like we're literally, I think, like just a breakthrough away from, because I think cold fusion is like actually exists. Like the people are they know full well about it. So
and that's why Pons and Fleischmann were chased out of town, because they knew it was real and they didn't want it to get out there, at least not yet.
Yeah. So that's the thing, but they also didn't realize how deep it was. So like they're trying to get a patent or whatnot. And also Eugene Malov, who wrote a book, From Fire to Ice. He was murdered just before Stephen Jones came out on the scene. So that was an interesting. And he was he wrote he wrote I think he did a documentary and wrote a book, From Fire from Ice, documenting Pons and Fleischmann's work. And then so he
died.
Yeah, so this is Pons and Fleischmann. I have it on my thingy here. This was their press conference, but I'll get the cold fusion one out of there in one of my videos. I think I had it in there.
Cool.
But anyways, let's go back to the thing, and I'm losing focus. Let's try to see what we can get on there. Okay, so we get one of the Trump's birthday. So your Trump is, your sister's the moon child. Alright, going back here. So so another thing I wanted to talk about was the ether spelling. So you spell it ETHER.
I do, because I switched from the AE, that symbol AETHER. I switched from that to ether when I started my NFT project, because all the Ethereum, NFTs are based on ether.
Ethereum,
Ethereum. So I just did that just to connect my theory to Ethereum.
No, 100%. Like so the reason I like I have to stick to AE because of the classical the original one. It uses the AE together.
The A and the E together, but I like that one. I like that one, but I always have a hard time remembering there's a certain keystroke you have to do to get that character.
Well, I just have AE. I just write AE, but so
then I just write AE. Yeah,
because
but then I switch to ether. It's just easier to type and.
Yeah, and
it doesn't really matter. In fact, I want to maybe distinguish my ether from
No,
the
100%.
standard.
No, I'm just going on a numerology, symbology. So like, so when you have it regular spelling, like the original AE, I just go AE ether. It's also, I think it's anagram of, it's like a very close anagram of Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Earth, ether.
I did like that. Earther, ether.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's
even
like air.
even words like father,
earth.
it's just missing the letter F, but it's like father.
Yeah.
So it's like
I
everything.
saw that. I just saw that when I was looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had actually write up on a whole bunch of different stuff similar to it. But anyways, I really like the AE, and interestingly, I think some of the big companies know about it. Like there's that AE, I forgot the company.
18.
AE, it's like a AE documentaries usually. Let's see, AE documentary or something like that. A and E shows, indie shows.
Art and entertainment or something.
Yeah, art and entertainment, something like that. So my take is they possibly know something. Anyways, that's a bit out there. So the next thing, so I think and another one. Okay, we can end off with the gyroscopes at the end. We'll try to get like 20 more minutes if that's okay with you. I don't want to go too long as I'm like knees are buckling. So we can go with the Michelson-Morley experiment. Actually, let's go over this one first. This is the quantum mechanics Planck's constant one.
Okay, I mean that's a big topic, but yeah, I didn't really.
Well, and it's not about. We can just talk briefly. I just wanted to show my.
Sure.
So I wrote, did that video showing. I don't know, did I show it earlier in this video or not? I don't think so. Yeah, no, I didn't show that one. So if I go back to here, and so this is why I write the article, so I have it all in one place. FractalWoman. All right.
So the Planck's constant and the nature of light, that is my biggest coup, I guess you could say, if I turn out to be right.
Well, I think you're right. I think. So,
and
so
it is the one that I argue with people about the most. Over the years, I've made enemies on this topic.
Okay,
I've had arguments with people, and they get really mad. Like,
no, because I think you're right.
Especially when I start like making sense, then that's when they usually shut me down.
No, yeah, because it's when they go after you when you're right. You the way it works. If you're wrong, they'll actually fund you. Like here, keep going.
Exactly.
So here's the I put it in my. So this is actually a math video.
Oh, nice image. I like that.
Yeah. So in my calculus book, it had radiation from the stars. It was talking about the black box radiation, etc. And then how Planck or whoever found out that if you the classical theory or whatever, it doesn't work because it just goes up to infinity. So you need to use the Planck's constant or assume that light comes in discrete packets. And then at the end of the video, I just put a note because whenever I cover mainstream things, if I think they're wrong, I put a note to what I think is right, which is a note on Planck's constant. And then I showed the difference between mainstream light and yours. So this was mainstream. So you have E equals HF. So each one is a specific frequency, and then at the same time they're basically quantizing frequency. So they're basically saying every single different frequency of light it comes in packets. But then what you showed, which I think is you're right, because they're all assuming a unit of time, but they don't actually discuss it or the cycles, etc.
Yeah, the 1 second cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of here, and then you can chime in once if I can summarize this correctly. Let's see if I just more of a brain recap on me. So this light here, for example, considered as blue light, mainstream would say this full 1 second of blue light is a quantized packet of light.
Is a photon. Yeah. The energy of 1 second worth of oscillations they call a photon.
Yeah, so that's not a photon. Yeah, I know, but it's 1 second. They ignore the cycles, and then if you have it for red light,
if the frequency wasn't reported in cycles per second, then that would be different. But frequency is cycles per second, and I think that somehow they forget that. I'm not really sure how they can because their units of frequency are cycles per second.
Yeah.
So and then H is obviously seems to be the you multiply the cycles per second by a value and you get an energy.
Yeah.
Now, I think the big mistake they made was reporting. Okay, all the black body experiments were reported in terms of power, intensity, which is power, which is watts per meter squared. Okay, so all of the black body experiments were reported in terms of power. But then, or they call it, see this one, they say energy density. Well, that's still not energy. So it is joules per meter squared per second. So that one is actually not a good example because they're actually reporting it in terms of energy. But here's one, see, they're reporting it in terms of power, I believe.
Yeah,
So
this is kilowatts per SR.
anyway, so the whole idea of the action constant used to drive me crazy because I could not understand action. And I would, get a physicist to explain it to me. What is action? And they would say, oh, the principle of action is, and then it would be blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't, they would make something up. It felt like
Towards
they're
the
just
end of the
making it
night.
up. It didn't make sense to me in terms of physics. I want to know, like, there are certain units. There's kilogram, meters, seconds, coulomb, right? And then there's this action. I don't understand action. I know what joule is. I know what Newton is. I know what power is. But action used to really bug me. And then I realized, there we go, right there, is that they took something out of unit analysis, the cycle. They took it out of unit analysis and replaced it with the numerical value of 1. And then they used it as the numerical value of 1, which is wrong. Unit analysis is unit analysis. In the unit section of an equation, you should not have any numbers. You should not have any numerical values. It's wrong what they did. It is completely wrong what they did, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And now, this is perfect. This is great. So the cycle is missing. Also, radians is missing and degrees is missing. Like, like they don't go within the units, even though they should. But the cycle is the most important one. You can do without the radians. Like, I'm trying to get rid of radians, as you may know, and just use cycles. Like, you can use radians, but you have to be sure you're using radians. I could use degrees, but you have to be sure you're using degrees. So, and so basically, frequency has units that you're showing there, cycles per second, not 1 over S. So they use 1 over S in their units. And then they use the 1 as the numerical value of 1 when they, so they cancel the 2 S's and they end up with joule. But they're using 1 as the numerical value of 1. Yeah. And what I suggest is that we put the delta back in. So we give a symbol instead of the numerical value 1. We replace that with a symbol. That could be anything. I just picked a triangle because it's a unit of change and delta means change, right? So it seemed like a natural symbol to use, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. Like, I want people to see that I took the 1 out and replaced it with a symbol, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, right? And so then when you do that, you also have to do it with lambda. So go back 1 slide. With the, now I know you can't see my cursor. I'm moving my cursor around. You can't see it. But the lambda, which is the wavelength, has units meters per cycle. It's not just, it doesn't have unit. It's not an arbitrary distance like a radius is an arbitrary distance. Lambda is the number of meters per cycle of a wave. So if you have a wave that has a certain wavelength, that is the number of meters per 1 cycle of that wave. Okay, so it's important to put that delta in there.
It's the most important.
It took me a long time to figure it out. I had to unwire myself. I had to rewire myself because it
simplifies everything. It's another thing.
It clarifies everything, I think. It makes it more robust. It makes it more understandable.
Well, it makes it real.
When you're in the domain of frequency or wavelength, then you have to put the deltas in. Like in normal physics, you don't. But as soon as you're talking about frequency, oscillation, cycles of some sort, something spinning, you got to put that cycle in there. We need to know when, it's a meter, a circumference is meters per cycle. So the circumference of a circle is the number of meters per 1 circle, right? So if you're doing radians, then all the deltas become radian. But I don't want to do radian because that's going to confuse everyone. if the universe is quantized, it's quantized by the cycle.
Yeah.
One cycle, one turn, one oscillation, one vibration, right? The universe is quantized by the cycle, and then quantization makes sense.
Yeah.
It can't be quantized by a radian. A radian is an arbitrary.
Yeah, like going back to like your other points as well about the ferrocell, when you have the simulator and then you have the isopotentials, you have the simulator and the orbitals, they all match up. And then this one right here, I don't know how anyone can look at this and argue.
Yeah.
It's one unit of time.
Yeah. And there's another aspect to this as well, because even if I'm just looking at one wavelength, right? If I'm looking at one wavelength, that wavelength, so each of these has the energy H.
Yeah.
Okay. So even the big one, this is H, big one's H, medium one's H, little one's H. It's going to, the smaller one, the same amount of energy is going to enter a smaller region of the detector in a shorter period of time. So even one wavelength is going to have a higher intensity, then it's going to strike with a higher intensity than the larger wavelength.
Yeah.
So we could change that unit of time to whatever we want, right? We can change it to the length of the time it takes for one cycle. And then you see that the smaller, even though the wave looks smaller, if it contains the same energy. And here's a good analogy for that I've been using actually, because, how can something smaller have more energy? Well, all you have to do is look at the atomic, atoms. An atom of uranium is much smaller than an atom of hydrogen, right? So a smaller thing can have more energy. Right. Yeah. So my analogy here is, imagine that the small one here is a chunk of uranium and the big one here is a bag of feathers.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 1 kilogram. So let's say I've got a 1 kilogram bag of feathers in the top one, and I have a 1 kilogram chunk of uranium on the bottom one. They're both a kilogram.
Yeah,
they both contain the same energy, right? But which one is going to strike the detector with the more intensity? Yeah. The uranium is. Yeah. It's going, because it's hitting a smaller area of the detector in a shorter period of time. So it's hitting much harder, even though it's going at the same speed, because these are all propagating at the same speed. This is hitting a smaller area of the detector. That alone means it's going to be a higher intensity strike. It's going to maybe knock a few molecules out of the wall, if this was a wall, compared to the bag of feathers. Because the bag of feathers is hitting a larger area of the detector. The same energy is hitting a larger area of the detector.
Yeah.
So it's maybe not going to knock off any molecules off the wall.
Yeah, and it just makes sense. and it just makes sense. But it also removes like nonsense. Like in mainstream, they added the unit of time. When I thought of it, I'm like, this is a mistake. No way. Like, how could they consider this an actual particle? But it's per 1 second. So it's a cycle particle. It's a second particle. So which is So
and the wave particle duality is only like when a wave crashes into the shore, then you see the particle nature of the wave, because the wave is the medium then is moving, right? Okay. So you have a water wave. When you have a water wave, some people say, well, how come light doesn't have mass? Well, does a water wave have mass? No, a water wave doesn't have mass. A wave doesn't have mass. Yeah. The medium has mass, but the wave doesn't. When a wave is propagating, it doesn't have mass. But when the wave crashes into the shore, right? When it's crashing, now the particles are moving. So before, the particles are just moving in circular motion and the wave is propagating, the particles are moving in place. But as soon as the wave crashes onto the shore, that's when it becomes more particle-like, and it can move a rock.
Okay, yeah, that's epic. I didn't think of it like that before.
So I think, that's wave particle duality. That's the collapse of the wave function, is when the wave crashes into the shore, and then
it's not waving.
And then it can do work.
Yeah. Right. And speaking about that mass one, I think this can segue to our. Let's go one more topic, and then I'll show some gyroscope stuff later.
Okay.
Just because I think you might have. I don't know if you've seen my gyroscope videos.
Nope.
Yeah. So those ones might be. They're a bit mind-boggling. Okay, but first, the next one's a Michelson-Morley experiment, and this goes back to how you said that light has no inertia or mass, but has momentum, and this kind of goes where because I saw the video that you were analyzing the mainstream one. They literally were viewing like the ether as some sort of wind, like actual physical wind going at it. But I'm like,
So exactly, which is weird. Like it basically.
I've never
what
thought of
they're
that as well.
doing-
Yeah.
No, but what they're doing is saying if the Earth is moving through the ether, a static ether, that is the same as the ether moving like a wind. And you know, I would use the convertible car as an analogy. So if you're in a car and it's a convertible, you have the top down and you're driving, you feel a wind, even though there's no wind. The wind isn't blowing because a guy standing on the road that's not in the car says no, the wind is not blowing, but it feels like it's blowing. So they reverse it and say, okay, we can pretend the ether wind is blowing and then do the experiment. But there's something like I think there's just a flaw in the logic of all of that. And basically, if there is no ether, then that photon, I don't believe in photons, but let's call it a photon, that pulse of light is going to hit the detector in a different location because the experiment is moving. And in fact, I calculated it would be about 1 millimeter. It would hit the mirror, the top mirror, at a different in a different location than it would normally, but that's not what happens. So the only explanation for that is if the experiment is carrying the ether with it, just like you're in a car with not a convertible or in a train and you're moving and it's carrying the air with it and everything works, all the laws of physics work perfectly fine in the train. You throw a ball up, you catch it, you say a sound and someone hears it properly without it being Doppler shifted, right? So because it's carrying the air. And so there are some possibilities, either the Earth is carrying the ether, which I don't think is necessarily true because then there's problems with stellar aberration apparently. So the other possibility is that just like a train is carrying the air, the Michelson-Morley experiment is carrying the ether. And that doesn't mean the Earth is carrying the ether. It just means in the box, because they do all their experiments in very controlled environments, in rooms, right? That is just carrying the ether. And that's the only way you can explain why does the light hit the center of the mirror and hit the detector in the same location, assuming that's true. Assuming that's true. Because with the Earth moving 36,000 meters per second, the time it takes for the light to get from, say, this middle half mirror to this mirror up here is the Earth is going to move 1 millimeter, right? The Earth is going to move a detectable amount, and they would actually be able to detect the motion, and they don't. So the only explanation for that is the experiment is carrying the ether. But then they invented all this relativity stuff to explain it, and length contraction. Even length contraction doesn't explain why it hits the middle of the mirror. It doesn't explain it. So I have some conceptual problems with this, with the explanation of this experiment.
Yeah, and I liked how your analogy of the ping pong ball, like to compare if you're driving in a car, for example, let's say you had a bowling ball, and you throw it in the air, but the momentum of that bowling ball will keep going. But if you have a ping pong ball, assuming it's like basically no mass, it just goes with the ether.
It's gonna go with the ether, it's gonna be it's going to want to be at rest with respect to the ether,
Yeah, so these videos, basically, anyone in the audience, just watch all of our videos. It's mind-boggling stuff. All right. But
so that's a tough one. I'm still working on that experiment in my head. I'm still trying to figure out, because there are problems with what about stellar aberration, and I'm trying to understand that, and you know, any ether theory I come up with has to explain all of the phenomenon that we see. So
100%.
it's not trivial. It's not trivial. I feel like there should be an ether. I can't imagine why there's not an ether. Every other wave in the universe has a medium except for light. I don't buy that.
Yeah, and also, well, the Michelson-Morley experiment doesn't disprove the ether, so I don't know why people are.
I know it actually kind of it almost proved the ether.
Yeah, because it's similar. Like someone was saying, if you put it in a space station and it's spinning and moving around, and it still gives the same results. It's all
Well,
both-
in this, because the space station is carrying the ether.
yeah. So
I
everyone-
want to see an experiment, a Michelson-Morley experiment in space with no walls, with no
Oh, that would be good. Yeah. So the
with
so
no and it might still carry the ether because you have a mirror here and you have a mirror here. It's going to carry the ether between it. So it's very hard to come up with an experiment that doesn't carry the ether,
yeah.
in my mind.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. All right, and
So-
I just want to see how much time we have. Okay, so we've been going 2 hours and 14 minutes. I'm going to share
Okay,
this tab.
okay.
And 17 hours. Okay,
I'm almost good to go. I'm almost good to go.
Oh yeah, so I'm as well. I just wanted to show the gyroscope stuff, and then we'll.
Oh
end
yeah,
it.
okay, sure.
So
Sounds
yeah.
good. We covered a lot of ground.
So yeah, that's why I wanted to go over that, and because like I my first realization that the ether exists was from my work on gyroscopes. So I don't know if you've heard of Eric Laithwaite before.
Yep.
So
I've
Eric
seen-
Laithwaite, yeah.
I've
So
seen his
he
experiments,
was
yeah.
he was yeah. So let's go to experiments. Let's go to experiments.
Yeah, when you start spinning stuff, you get different things happen.
Yeah, so this is where I kind of like when I saw Eric. So this is my experiments list. It's actually kind of made me realize, okay, I have to get back to my academic roots. So this is me when I had hair, and this is okay. So there's experiments one, but this came about from my anti-gravity video. You've seen Eric Laithwaite pick up the
Yep.
that 40-pound bar.
Yeah.
When it's yeah. So.
When it's spinning, yeah.
Yeah, when it's spinning, well, it's when it's processing.
When it's processing, yeah.
So that alone proves that it can go, it can literally lift up on its own. So whatever he's doing here, it's literally anti-gravity in my humble opinion. So you've seen that video of that, and then and the whole time what he was saying, and nobody was like picking up on it. Everyone's trying to say, oh, he's talking about anti-gravity, etc. But the main thing he was saying is that precession acts as if it has zero angular momentum or centripetal force or centrifugal. So very few people were actually barely anyone understood what he was actually trying to say. Like, so this is where it gets it's similar. It's kind of similar to the magnets spinning. So this is when I wrote like a 22-hour video on objects in rotation defy mainstream physics, and then MES duality came up across there. So we'll go back to here. So so the gyroscope, like you know, it precesses, right? But it can also rise on its own. Have you ever known that it rises on its own or no?
No.
Okay.
Do I know about that? Nope.
Okay,
Nope.
so I'll give you an example. This is where kind of other people have talked about it, but I think I was one of the probably like I accidentally discovered it. I'm not gonna say discover. Some people knew about it, but nobody actually published it.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
how
I know it. Like I run the same problem with using it. I didn't discover anything. I discovered the person that discovered the thing, maybe, but
Well,
yeah.
this one I did on when I was filming it because I usually watch and like I make it 16 times speed. When I filmed a whole bunch of gyroscopes because Eric Laithwaite, I realized okay he's right. I'm gonna just so I did like 1,000. So these are my experiments that are published, but I have some draft ones. Experiments draft, actually right here. So if I go here, I've done. You wouldn't imagine how many experiments I did just to because I wanted to prove that I wasn't going nuts. Because just to illustrate how magical this is. So this experiments one right here. Share this tab. This is my this is my draft ones that are unpublished. So I have 1,000 videos, all different gyroscopes, different setups, and then eventually we'll do this with magnetism. And your work is.
so these are not published.
These
Yeah,
are
on
unpublished. The ones that yeah. So this is me investigating. So I did 1,000 videos. So what I would do is I would film it and then I would watch it in like super speed.
Okay.
Because I don't have the patience to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah, so going back here, so let's go watch, we could watch the first one. Okay, let's watch the first one, just to give you an example of what I mean.
All right.
And mainstream physics, if you go to Wikipedia, they don't know this is possible. Like, barely anyone knows it's possible. So this is with high friction. I'll have some sound on. So this is a gyroscope inside this, and I've taken it out, so it's pretty much like a spinning top.
Yep.
So this is high friction surface. And I'll speed it up, and it just goes down. Okay, so it goes down. This is how everybody looks at gyroscopes.
Yeah. It just falls down.
But then if I put it on the top part, the low friction, and it just goes up. So it goes up. It goes up against gravity. Okay.
Low friction with low friction.
Yeah, low precessional friction. So you know precession, there's spin and there's precession. So
Yep.
think of the orbit. So it's similar to electron orbit and electron spin. And then so we saw that, and all right. So you saw that part, and now we'll go super steep. This is 60 degrees. Let's go with this one here. Share this one. And this is where I came across. Okay, experiment 3 is when I realized. Okay, ether. This is ether because I'll describe what it means. As it rises, there's no spin speed loss. Like, I mean, there's no extra spin speed loss. That's better wording. Okay.
Okay, so no energy is is being extracted from making that go up.
Well, technically, when there's the friction of the actual spinning is causing it to rise, but no extra. Like if you just left it on its own, I'll get to that experiment. The loss of as it loses spin speed, that's what helps it rise. But it would have lost that spin speed if you didn't do anything anyways. So it doesn't lose extra spin speed.
Okay.
I'll explain that in a bit. But here's a steeper one. Here's a steeper, more precise gyroscope to illustrate how I'm making it 16x speed right now.
Okay.
Okay. So look how steep it is, and I have it timed.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just going up. Okay.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah. So it's going up, and it gets crazier too. The crazy thing is, Eric Lathwood never even knew about this either. And this is also the reason why he was able to lift it. It lifts itself. He wasn't the one lifting it. The reason why he was able, it's doing the actual lifting. All he's doing is holding it at the stationary point and then helping it precess, and it rises on its own. So as it loses spin speed, it actually rises. So I'm gonna go up, continuing. It's almost gonna go fully at like 7-minute mark. So it's going up all on its own.
As it loses spin speed, it rises. Now that has to be due to conservation of angular momentum.
Somehow. You can describe it. I'm just explaining what this is doing. But because it took me like a year later to realize, okay, if I added tape, the faster the spin speed loss, the faster it rises. So some sort of torque reshifting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But anyway, it goes even beyond this once you put it on ice. Okay, so then it goes down. So it rose and goes down. I'm gonna close this. Oh, whoops! I share this back. So this is what I mean. This is the next level. Okay, let's go back here. Share this again. Okay, yeah. So yeah, if I exit it, it will do that. So I'm gonna go share this tab. All right. So now this is the experiment 3. So gyroscopes exert inertial forces with 0 loss of spin rate. In other words, more specifically, 0 extra loss. So to give it here, so you've ever held the gyroscope and then have you ever played around with one and you could feel a force in your hand?
Yep.
Yeah. So you know when you feel a force, but the spin speed doesn't lose.
Okay.
So this is where it gets a bit next level, in my opinion.
So you don't. No matter what you do, it's not whatever you feel a force, but it's not losing speed.
So the force is not coming from the gyroscope or the spin rate. So like for example here, I have 3 setups right here. The one in the big screen is me moving, is me torquing it by hand. I'm just powering them all. I'm powering them all at pretty much the same rate. Okay, this is all about the same, or roughly about the same time I did it. One of them I just leave it. One of them I rise. One of them I torque with my hand.
Okay.
Okay, so this one here I torque with my hand, and I start them. So this one's already going, but the other ones I have it at 0 there. Just see the difference. Okay. All right, and go. Okay, so this one I just leave it, so I'm not doing anything to the top one. This top right, it's gonna rise on its own. This one I torque with my hand. So there's no significant loss of spin speed in any of them.
Huh. Weird.
So this is where I realize, okay, whatever is giving you that force, it's not coming from the actual object. It's like the ether. That's when I first realized, okay, ether.
Interesting.
This is my first I couldn't think of anything else but an ether. So you can see this the whole time of torquing it. This one is leaving it on its own. This one's rising. So this one rose.
So I wonder if that was done in a vacuum where there's no air, you want to rule out air.
Well, resonance on air just makes it spin longer. There's less friction overall. I have in my draft vacuum. I put it in.
So you did that in a vacuum?
Yeah, I did in a vacuum. It just becomes longer. Uses less friction.
Oh, okay, just less friction.
Less air, less processional friction. So this one here, I'm moving it around, and the timer's still going. I have it at 16x speed to see when it ends. So this is what I mean by I record it and then I analyze after, because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to watch 20 minutes.
Oh, no, for sure. You do the experiment, you analyze it later.
And I have this browser extension if you want to play around. See this one, I'm moving the speed by my keyboard. So I can go like here, 13x speed.
Yeah.
I can go 1x speed. I put a link in all my video notes on this. Okay, and then it's going to the end. Okay, so this is why I want to show the gyroscopes, because I'm like, nobody else talks about this, and nobody knew about this one. Okay, and then pretty much all of them at the 17, 20 mark, etc. And the one that rose.
I would have guessed for sure that you torquing it and feeling the force would slow it down.
Okay, so
I would have thought that. I would have guessed that.
What's interesting is what I think the reason why the one leaving it on its own was the one that actually got lasted the shortest. It's because it's like at an angle, so it's like the axle is more leaning towards the actual spin, the casing. So because again, the torquing doesn't do anything to the spin rate. So you saw that it's all about the same. The one that rose did the longest, but again, plus or minus, you could do all. It would be like slightly different. So nothing significant.
Yeah.
All right. So now, so that was that one, and this is another one. Eric Laithwaite. I hate when it does that. Okay, so I should stop closing it. I should just move over. There's a couple more. If I just wanted to show because there's very few people. Okay, 9/11 Risen, shout out to you, bro. Where are we at with the beer? Jeremy Bartlett comes in. Yeah, so I think 9/11 Risen is probably sleeping right now. Okay, so there's another one by Eric Laithwaite. What he showed was to illustrate my. This one here. The point that he was making is that it processes without conventional inertia. So have you ever seen this experiment of his? So you've seen the rising one.
No.
I'm gonna go.
I saw the rising one, but not.
Oh yeah. So the rising one is what got me. Because so 9/11. When I did 9/11, then the video. The next one I was doing was I was doing free energy stuff, and then one of the guys. Have you ever heard of John Duffield? He did so he had a theory of everything, and his involved elastic ether or whatever. And then he mentions gyroscope has inertia. So then I'm like, wait, what do you mean inertia? And so I look it up. I'm like, the mainstream definition is just it's like circular reasoning. It's like they said gyroscope has inertia because mass has inertia, and they don't explain what inertia is. So then I'm like, what do you mean a gyroscope is?
Inertia is a word everyone throws around. They just sound smart, but they don't really know what it means.
Yeah, so I'm like, what is going on here? Okay, so here's a gyroscope.
Show that a gyroscope, once again, not further demonstration.
I define inertia as resistance to change.
Yeah.
That's the only definition. It's resistance to change. That's
Angular
it.
momentum, which is commonly known as inertia.
Yeah, but in terms of like this right here, so like so in terms of an object hitting another object, so as
demolish
momentum.
that it could not demolish before. So first of all, we'll spin up. We've got this rod. The mistake I made last time was to put it through a hole. This time we've clamped it really tight.
Yeah, I'm gonna fast forward here. He plays that flute thing so that he times the sound so that he can.
Okay.
It's the same speed as before. Anyway.
I see.
Yeah, that's the old school way.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I was wondering, what's he doing?
Yeah. Okay.
But not a show.
So there's a stick. Watch what it does. It doesn't demolish it.
Here we go.
It just falls down. So it acted as if it has no momentum.
As soon as it touches the rod, drops like a stone and returns. It has
So-
not the inertia to knock that
So
off.
when it's processing, it hits and then it just goes back. But then now he does the same thing upside down, and it's roughly the same speed. And see what happens with the stick.
So now we clamp it.
So he clamps it, puts it upside down.
Make sure that this baseboard was firmly secured against
So the same
something
impact
to make
from
it like
precession?
a hard wall. If you don't do that, then of course everything gives way. Bring it from the top side. Now we have calculated. You saw me blowing a note there on the recorder. That was so that I could listen to the note of the wind over the Pelton bucket, so I could get the speed appropriate to the angle which I'm now going to drop the gyro from. When it lines up with that shadow there, then that is the correct height to give the same velocity at the bottom as we hit it before.
Okay,
And this
he's gonna
time,
drop
I
it.
hope. Fingers crossed.
Oh, it's
Not quite.
Again,
One
he
more.
does it again, and it slams it. So that was a
So
rough.
just with gravity, it slams it.
Yeah, and it's roughly the same speed. He does it at crude he was presenting, but I did it on ice now.
So on a horizontal, it hits the stick at approximately the same speed. It doesn't.
No, as it processes.
Yeah, as it
processes. It goes as if nothing happened, and you can see that with this experiment here I have on ice. Well, this one rises here. I'll go to a steep one. So here's a steep one. So you know, whenever you have a dynamic system right here, if it's rotating, it should rotate about the center of mass, if there's no other forces acting upon it.
Right.
Oh, actually, go here. Let's go to the video. And then I'll show you the mainstream explanation. They don't even have this. They tried to debunk Eric Lathwaite, but they've never seen this video, my video. Here, so here's an ice block to illustrate what I mean. So fast forward. Okay, so the ice block, the center of mass is like pretty much condensed towards the where my mouse is, like where the gyroscope is. Notice there's no lateral forces. So this is the center of mass. Center of mass is way out there. So it's moving as if it's massless, as if it has zero inertia.
Crazy.
Okay, and then as it loses its spin speed, its inertia comes back. So notice the gyroscope's now moving. It's rotating not about its center of mass, but in actuality, its center of mass seems to have shifted. And later, a few more experiments I'll show you with involving magnets. So someone else discovered this with magnets as well. With this guy named Owen Lang, I found he had like 1 subscriber. It was me. All right. Okay. So as it's now it's gaining its spin speed, so it falls down here. This was a steep one. Okay. So now it's losing its spin speed. Notice the thing moving now. Can you see the ice block gradually moving outwards? So as it loses all of its spin speed, it's gaining back its inertia, or momentum, or whatever you want to call it, or the mass. Okay, so now the spin speed is much slower, and it's still going. So now it's chasing the center of mass, it's circling around the center of mass. Okay, it falls down, yeah. Yeah,
weird.
So that one is... Yeah, so that is what I want to show there. And there's another one here. Okay, we'll go 2 more, then we'll just end it. Actually, there's a couple more. I can go on forever. This other one, this guy showed that in terms of torque input versus output, the gyroscope is 1,000 times torque over unity. So what it means by here is, if you have a motor or a rotor that spins it laterally, that it could only torque 1.25 inch-pounds. So basically, I'm gonna try to power through this right here. Okay, I'm gonna go through my anti-gravity video. I'll show the notes instead of the video. And I'm gonna go. What's his name? Here. McCabe. Okay. McCabe. Yeah, going back to Francis McCabe. Yeah, so this is a good illustration. So if you have a motor that can only power a wheel that's 1 pound and 1 inch away, but if it was processing, he was showing it was 1,000 pounds, and it can still power it. So as it's processing, it is as if it's being levitated in place, or it has no mass. So that was the experiment he was showing. So you could process it as it's processing, use the tiniest of motors, like using a AA battery or whatever. Even a giant 1,000-pound wheel is the equivalent of it, using a 1 pound rotor. I mean, a 1 pound inch-pound rotor. So these are some next level stuff. That one there, and okay, I'm going to show this video, and then we'll show the. Then I'll fast forward. Just so we know, so we don't end our time. And okay, so we'll get this video as well. This is the one where he shows inertial lift. This is the. Have you ever seen people claiming that gyroscopes have inertial proportion and etc.? Have you ever seen those claims?
No.
Okay, because like basically you can move outside of the like it defies the Newton's action-reaction mumbo jumbo. But we'll get to that in a bit. Okay, so yeah. Anyways, and I'm gonna get to my tape friction one here. Oh, whoops. Casing rotation. Okay, this is the one. No, I'm just opening the last ones to show, and then we'll end it. This one right here, and then the magnet one. Okay. I'm gonna open these, and then we'll end it. Sorry for taking your time, but hopefully you're enjoying these. Let's continue here. Okay, this one is one I cannot believe that this happened, and I've shared this step. Okay, so this one here. So before, remember, it didn't have a counterweight, and it rose.
Yep.
I added, now this time I add a counterweight, so that it's level. It's pretty much level. It's like a tiny bit tilted downwards.
Yep.
And now what do you think is gonna happen? So what do you think is gonna happen now?
I don't know. The whole thing's gonna spin.
Well, yeah, that's gonna spin. Okay, so, but what do you? Okay, so you think it's just gonna spin? So remember before, there's no counterweight, and it rose up.
Okay.
Now I added a counterweight, so I'm trying to make it go up, right?
Okay.
Now what do you think? Now what's gonna happen?
Well, maybe it'll try to go vertical.
But which way?
Gyroscope up.
Okay, all right. Let's just watch.
I don't know.
This is the one where I cannot believe that this happened. It's going downwards.
No, it's going the other way.
I have a so this is what I mean by 16x speed. I would have never seen it if I didn't have 16x speed. I only saw like a tiny bit glimpse. Again, now it's going downwards. So it's able to not just go down, but also lift the counterweight.
Lifting the counterweight.
It's also lifting the counterweight. Before it was able to just go up with nothing.
Yeah.
And now you're adding a weight to make it go up. Instead of going up, it's going down and lifting the counterweight.
Interesting.
And again, this whole time the spin speed doesn't get lower, relative to torquing it or doing anything. So the whole time it's as if, again, a concentration of angular momentum. It's thrown out the garbage, in my humble opinion. All right, so now it's going now it's as it loses its spin speed, it gains its mass. Notice how it's going super wide.
Yeah.
The slower it is, the more mass it has. With the faster it goes, it's as if the mass turns to energy or just spin, as if it loses its momentum. So this is kind of why. So I got to gyroscopes and I got to your work, and I think we're like one breakthrough away from anti-gravity, practical anti-gravity.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so that one it goes like that. Oh, whoops. Sorry about that. I should stop closing it. Okay. Every time I close it, it does this force precession causes lift. Okay. So this was air collected was you kept telling people force precession causes lift. Where if you torque the gyro. So he wanted to know how he could lift it with one hand.
First thing we were trying to find out was how we could lift a 50-pound wheel with one hand. So we set out to try to reproduce this as a hands-off experiment.
Yeah.
And we almost reproduced the effects we had with the big wheel, and we could get lift.
Yeah, so there it is. So you see what he has? He has his outer casing where he hits it so it goes forward.
Oh, yes.
And it goes up. So if you slow motion it, and so he pushes it, and it goes up. So whenever you push something, whenever you push it in the direction that it's processing, it wants to torque upward. Or,
Okay.
Yeah, so it's able to get lift. So this little experiment, and I have some drawings right here. Yeah, so there's the center, and it just rises up there. So that was an interesting one there. All right, so we're just gonna power through some of these. This one here is actually okay. Increasing spin and friction can make. I think I edited a better one. Okay, this one here. Experiment 26, I think, and this was 27. I just want to get to the right one. Experiment. Okay, this was like no casing spinning. Okay, this is it. We are in. Okay, so remember when I said if you increase spin friction, it rises faster.
Yeah.
So that same gyroscope, but I added tape to here so that it hits the side. So it loses its spin speed faster.
Okay.
And it just flies up. Okay. And it's much steeper now. I have it like at 70 degrees. Or 72. I have a drawing. Where is it? Oh, it's a 72-degree angle. I don't know. No, this is not the one. Why is this? Oh, sorry. I wanted to get the one without the spinning casing. Sorry about that. I cannot believe I don't have it. Oh, this is the one. This is the one. Share this tab. Okay, they were back. Why does it keep going? Oh, and I have the wrong link. Sorry about that. I keep getting the wrong link to it. Experiments. Okay, sorry about that. I was opening the wrong link, so 27. Because people were complaining that the casing was spinning. Okay, so we're back. So I added a little weight so that the casing doesn't spin, because when you add this friction there, it wants to spin the whole thing. And yeah, so we're powering through some gyros. Okay, so add a small weight to prevent casing rotation, because people were complaining. And then here's 70 degrees. The other one was 60 to 70 degrees, almost perfectly horizontal. And fast forward. Yeah, this is gonna have a double speed right now. Yeah, see how fast it rises up now.
Huh.
In like a minute now. Before it was 7 minutes, so it's already up. Anyways, so it's up in 1 minute. Other one was 7 minutes.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
So we're powering through. Next one, we already did this. This one we did. This we did. I'm just closing up a whole bunch of stuff. And now we're gonna go to the Owen Lang, the magnets. This is when I realized magnets and gyroscopes are the same. So from gyroscopes, I realized I concluded ether
Magnets
exists.
and gyroscopes are the same, yeah. I believe so.
Yeah, but of the ether, I
Yeah.
think the magnets is of the ether.
Magnet is ether spin.
Yeah. And this is okay. So we're having here. So now we have some magnets. I'm gonna share this tab. This guy, a guy named Owen Lang, like ultra obscure guy that no one's heard of him ever. So I've ordered this from him. This is the gyro top.
Okay.
So this is a steel. This is a steel top, spinning top.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's a steel spinning top, and then right now there's no. This is a regular spinning top. There's no magnets. Okay. And it also shows that gravity and magnetism are the same. Okay, so here's a regular spinning top. So if I tilt it, notice that it wants to maintain orientation.
It wants to stay horizontal, yeah.
Yeah. Once the thing wants to horizontal, it also wants to go point opposite of gravity. See, I'll tilt it anywhere I tilt. It's still keeping like that.
Yeah.
So I'll just fast forward, and okay, so you get that. So now what I'll do is now it's a gyro top, magnetic spinning top. Whoops. Okay. So now, so that's a magnet, and it's always attractive to the steel. Anywhere you go, it's sticking to it.
Yep.
So now, what's gonna happen? So what do you think is gonna happen?
Okay, so you're spinning
The top.
thing, and it's going to create an electromotive force.
So what do you think is gonna happen? Let's see if you can predict what happens. Let's see what people in the comments.
It's gonna
Oh, they've seen it probably. Alright, go on.
I actually don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
It's going to process, maybe. I don't know.
Should I give you a hint or no?
Okay. Yeah, give me a hint.
It does the same thing as the other gyroscopes. It does the same as a spinning top, where the spinning top doesn't want to maintain. That's the mainstream narrative. What it wants to do is wants to go opposite of the downwards force.
Okay, so
so-
it's going to lift up.
Well, it's gonna go opposite of the other one was opposite of gravity. That's why when
Yeah.
you tilt it, it's still pointing up.
Yeah.
But now it's opposite of magnetism. So if I tilt it, it's gonna go every direction, even upside down.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
So it goes opposite of
And
any.
wobble.
Yeah. So it's wobbling there is correct. So notice it's lifting up. It's self-correcting. And now I'll tilt it. It follows it, even though it's
staying
attractive.
parallel. Oh, it's staying parallel to the magnet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It always wants to go opposite of so the pointing part wants to point away from the attractive force. So even though I'm tilting it toward in mainstream physics, a concentration of angular momentum, it should be wanting to stay stationary, and then magnet hits it.
Right.
But it's not doing that. It's going opposite.
Okay.
So this is spinning top. The spinning top is same as gyro. Okay. And go upside down as well. So that's this one. Yeah, so you saw that.
Yeah.
And now the next one is we'll do asymmetric one. We'll add a second magnet so that it's more attractive on one side. So there's this one here, asymmetric top. So the same thing as before, but now I'm adding a second magnet. See how they're all attractive to the steel?
Okay.
Okay, I'm just fast forwarding. So it always wants to go opposite. Yeah, so now I added a magnet that's attractive. Notice that it's shifting away from it.
Okay.
Yeah, alright. So it's going opposite of that. Anywhere I rotate it, it's moving, it's like scared of it. And then add another one, and now it's level.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just want to give you that. Hopefully it gives you ideas for future.
Yeah, no, I'll keep all that in mind.
Yeah, so now this one's there.
Those all have to be explained. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going like that there.
Okay.
Okay, and then another one, the last one, is now we're going to combine gravity and magnetism. So we'll add, it's the same gyro top, but I'm going to go sideways. Whoops. I'm going to go sideways. Okay, so I'm sideways now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the screw so that it pushes it outwards, so that gravity takes significant gravity takes it into play, like a bigger chunk of gravity. So as I push it outwards, what do you think is going to happen? It should, it should fall down.
It wants to go parallel to the Earth instead of.
Well, it's going to be a combination. It's going to be a vector addition of the two.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
so as you push it away, instead of falling down, it's going to start lifting upwards, even though yeah. So going upwards.
Yep.
Yeah. So as you can push it, it's pointing upwards now.
Yep.
So it's a vector addition. So it always wants to go opposite.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and look, it's like barely touching it, like a tiny little needle.
Yeah, and it's just staying there.
Yeah, and it's going up. Yeah, and then if I push it back in, it pushes itself away from the magnet. And it goes back up. I'll fast forward it, and then let's see. Okay, going up, and it tilts.
Yeah, further out you go, the more it. Yeah.
Yeah, further out, and until it wants to like literally fly away like a UFO. All right, so that is pretty much it now. As everybody, show the screen.
I think I'm exhausted.
Yeah, same.
I'm mentally exhausted.
My knees are buckled. Yeah, my knees are buckled. All right, guys, let's see what the live stream stats are, and we could say our goodbyes. So we've got 2 hours and 46 minutes. Unreal. Okay, we went that long. Yeah. So I've been standing for this long. I need to like sit down. Okay, so Stephen F says, so glad we have discovered FractalWoman's work.
Oh,
I'll
nice.
move it around here. All right, so 17 people. And yeah, that is all, guys. Anything else you want to say, Lori, before we?
No. I'm gonna have to give some thought and watch. Yeah. I don't know if any of these videos are on your channel.
Oh yeah, these are all on my channel. These are all on mine. If you have any specific ones you could ask, even the 9/11 ones, the cold fusion. Even some of my goal is also to get Bob Greener from Martin Fleischmann on the show.
Yeah.
So he's had one with and he's had one with Andrew Johnson. Yeah, I think they discussed a bit about 9/11 as well. So 9/11 is a big one. So I'm going to ask any questions in the chat. Last second before it's over. All right, last call. Any questions? Last call. And I'm all right. All right, that is all again.
I think we're good to go.
All right, guys. Jeremy says, okay, Maggie says, interesting, thanks. Anyways, guys, that is all, guys. If anyone, nobody else has anything to say, I'm going to end the stream.
Right.
All right, thanks for joining. Bye, guys. I'm going to end in 3, 2, 1, and end stream. End it now. Let's see if this works. Okay, I think it's over. Okay, yeah, Lori.